Have you ever noticed that some people can say very little, but seem to have a strong effect on everyone around them? They don't need to fill the room with words to get attention or earn respect. There is a way to communicate that makes every word count, that makes people listen, trust, and follow your lead naturally. Speaking less is not about hiding your thoughts or being quiet. It's about being intentional, deliberate, and aware of how your words shape the world around you. In this audiobook, you will discover how to control your speech, understand others deeply, and use your voice in a way that builds influence rather than noise. You will learn how to listen actively, read emotions, ask the right questions, and respond with clarity and authority. You will explore practical strategies to manage impulses, choose your words carefully, and turn every conversation into an opportunity for respect and impact. Every chapter is designed to give you simple, actionable steps that you can start using immediately. You will gain insights into human behavior, improve your relationships, and develop the kind of presence that makes people pay attention when you speak. By the end, you will understand how self-control, patience, and focus transform ordinary speech into a powerful tool for influence. If you are ready to stop speaking without effect and start using your voice with purpose, this audiobook will guide you step by step. The techniques here will change the way you communicate and how the world responds to you. Chapter 1T. Master listening skills to understand people deeply and clearly. The foundation of influence begins with listening. True listening is more than hearing words. It is the careful observation of thought, emotion, and intent. When you master listening, you gain insight into others that is impossible to acquire through speaking alone. People speak for many reasons. They want to be understood, they want to connect, they want to be validated, and sometimes they speak without realizing how much they reveal about themselves. Listening is a skill that requires awareness, patience, and discipline. It allows you to gather information, understand motives, and respond with wisdom rather than impulsive reaction. Mastering this skill transforms your relationships, your professional interactions, and your ability to influence others without force or manipulation. To begin mastering listening, the first step is awareness. Awareness involves noticing when your mind is drifting, when you are formulating a response instead of absorbing what is being said, or when you are distracted by your own thoughts. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. This is a subtle but crucial difference. Listening to understand requires putting aside your ego, your assumptions, and your desire to be heard. It is a practice of focus and humility. Start by observing your attention during conversations. Notice how often your mind wanders, how quickly you jump to conclusions, and how often you interrupt or finish other people's sentences. Awareness of these tendencies is the first step toward change. Next, learn to silence internal commentary. When someone speaks, your mind will instinctively begin evaluating, judging, or planning a response. This mental chatter interferes with true listening. To counter this, train yourself to simply observe the words and the emotions behind them without immediate judgment. Focus on the speaker's tone, pace, and emphasis. Notice pauses, hesitations, and body language. These often reveal more than the words themselves. Listening deeply means hearing the message that is not always spoken aloud. People communicate as much through subtle cues as they do through explicit statements. Another critical aspect of mastering listening is patience. Effective listening cannot be rushed. When someone is speaking, allow them to finish their thought fully before responding. Avoid the temptation to interject or complete their sentences. Silence is not empty, it is a space for observation, reflection, and understanding. When you resist the urge to speak immediately, you gain access to richer information and deeper insight. Patience also demonstrates respect. People feel valued when they are given the time to express themselves fully, and this naturally strengthens your influence. Practical exercises for building listening skills include focused daily conversations. Choose a partner, colleague, or family member and engage in a conversation where your primary goal is to understand rather than respond. Ask open-ended questions and give them space to answer. Avoid interrupting. Paraphrase what you hear to ensure accuracy, and notice how the conversation changes when your focus shifts entirely to listening. Over time, this practice rewires your mind to prioritize understanding over speaking. Listening then becomes second nature rather than a conscious effort. Emotional intelligence is closely tied to listening. People do not only share facts, they share emotions, concerns, and fears. When you listen attentively, you can sense underlying feelings, even when they are not explicitly stated. This ability to perceive emotion enables you to respond with empathy and understanding. Observe how emotions affect word choice, volume, and rhythm. A person speaking quickly may be anxious, one speaking softly may be cautious or fearful. By interpreting these emotional signals accurately, you gain a more complete understanding of the message and the individual delivering it. Listening deeply also requires the absence of judgment. Many conversations fail because listeners evaluate rather than understand. Opinions, assumptions, and biases create barriers to comprehension. To master listening, approach every interaction with openness and curiosity. Treat every person as a teacher and every conversation as a source of insight. Avoid formulating rebuttals or counterarguments while the other person is speaking. This practice frees you to absorb more and to respond with wisdom rather than reaction. Non-judgmental listening allows people to share more honestly, providing you with clarity and influence naturally. Observation of nonverbal communication is another essential skill. People reveal more through body language, posture, gestures, and facial expressions than they do through words alone. Pay attention to eye contact, hand movements, stance, and micro-expressions. These signals often contradict or reinforce the spoken message. By interpreting these cues accurately, you gain insight into true intentions, desires, and emotions. Practicing this awareness strengthens your ability to respond effectively and influence outcomes without relying on constant verbal input. The practice of reflective listening enhances understanding. Reflective listening involves paraphrasing or summarizing what someone has said to ensure clarity and demonstrate engagement. This simple technique signals to the speaker that you are fully present and invested in understanding them. It also allows for corrections and clarifications, preventing misunderstandings. Phrases like, "What I hear you saying is," or "It sounds like you feel," establish connection, respect, and authority. Mastery of reflective listening transforms ordinary conversations into meaningful exchanges. Listening is strengthened by curiosity. When you approach interactions with genuine curiosity, you uncover motivations, challenges, and desires that may otherwise remain hidden. Curiosity encourages questions that are precise and relevant. Avoid generic or superficial inquiries. Instead, focus on questions that require thoughtful reflection. This deepens connection and demonstrates that you value the speaker's insights. Curious listening enhances influence because people naturally gravitate toward those who show interest in their perspective. Influence is built on understanding, and understanding grows from curiosity and attentiveness. Another practical habit is controlling distractions. True listening requires full presence. Phones, notifications, and multitasking fragment attention and reduce comprehension. Make a conscious choice to eliminate distractions during conversations, meetings, or personal interactions. Sit upright, make eye contact, and focus solely on the speaker. Even small changes in posture and attention can significantly enhance the quality of your listening. Presence signals respect, engagement, and authority, all of which strengthen influence without additional speech. Active silence is another critical component. Silence is not passive. It is a tool that creates space for reflection and deeper insight. By pausing before responding, you allow yourself to process the information fully, evaluate options, and formulate a response that carries weight. This pause communicates thoughtfulness and deliberation, increasing the impact of your words. Silence also encourages others to share more, often revealing information they might have withheld in rushed or anxious conversations. The disciplined use of silence is an advanced listening technique that enhances influence naturally. Developing patience in listening extends beyond individual conversations. It involves cultivating a mindset that prioritizes understanding over immediate gratification. People often speak quickly to assert dominance or control the narrative. Resisting the urge to interrupt or speak prematurely fosters respect and trust. This long-term approach requires self-control and mindfulness. Observe patterns in your interactions over weeks, not just moments. Note where patience created clarity or where impulsive responses caused confusion. Consistent application strengthens your capacity to influence and connect deeply. Practical exercises include listening without speaking for extended periods. Engage in a meeting, discussion, or social interaction and focus solely on absorbing information. Resist the urge to contribute immediately. After the conversation, reflect on what you learned, what subtleties you noticed, and how the interaction changed when you focused on listening. Repeating this exercise builds endurance in attention, patience, and perception, all essential for mastering influence. Empathy amplifies listening. Understanding the speaker's perspective requires entering their emotional and intellectual space without judgment. Visualize their situation, consider their challenges, and imagine the pressures they face. This empathetic approach deepens understanding and guides responses that resonate more effectively. People naturally respond to empathy with openness and trust. Influence becomes a byproduct of connection, not coercion. Empathetic listening strengthens relationships in both personal and professional contexts. Listening is also about noticing gaps and inconsistencies. Sometimes what is left unsaid carries more meaning than what is spoken. Pay attention to omissions, contradictions, or repeated phrases. These may indicate unresolved issues, hidden concerns, or opportunities for clarification. By noticing these subtleties, you gain insight that others overlook. Influence grows when you respond to the whole message, not just the explicit words. Another layer of mastery involves balancing listening and strategic questioning. Asking precise questions demonstrates engagement, curiosity, and understanding. Avoid questions that are leading or superficial. Instead, ask questions that encourage reflection, expand the conversation, or clarify meaning. The combination of attentive listening and thoughtful inquiry positions you as someone who understands deeply and guides conversations with authority and grace. Consistency in practice is essential. Mastering listening is not a single effort, it is a daily habit. Every interaction is an opportunity to refine skill, observe patterns, and strengthen presence. Begin each day with an intention to listen actively, whether in meetings, conversations, or casual interactions. Review your performance at the end of each day, noting successes, challenges, and areas for improvement. This cycle of practice, observation, and refinement accelerates mastery and deepens influence. Influence is a natural outcome of listening because people respect those who understand before speaking. Speaking less allows you to process, observe, and respond with precision. Influence is not created by loudness or volume, it is cultivated through understanding, awareness, and deliberate communication. The disciplined listener commands attention without overt effort. Words become strategic tools rather than constant noise. Influence grows as people trust that you comprehend the situation fully, respect their perspective, and respond thoughtfully. Listening also nurtures self-mastery. When you focus on understanding others, you learn patience, humility, and restraint. You develop the ability to regulate emotions, manage attention, and cultivate empathy. These qualities enhance your personal life and professional interactions. The act of listening becomes a mirror through which you refine your character and sharpen your judgment. Influence is inseparable from the mastery of self, and listening is a primary avenue through which this mastery is achieved. Reflecting on listening after interactions reinforces learning. Ask yourself what you learned about the person, the situation, and your own responses. Identify moments where silence or observation enhanced understanding. Note areas where impulsive speech reduced clarity or trust. These reflections create a feedback loop that strengthens your listening skills over time. Mastery is achieved through continuous refinement, observation, and application. True influence emerges from the integration of awareness, patience, empathy, and reflection. Listening deeply transforms ordinary conversations into strategic opportunities for connection and guidance. People feel understood, valued, and respected when they encounter someone who prioritizes listening. Influence grows without force because it is rooted in comprehension and trust. Speaking less is not passivity. It is discipline, observation, and deliberate action that multiplies your impact in every interaction. Mastering listening is an investment in both personal growth and relational influence. It requires focus, patience, emotional intelligence, empathy, and consistent practice. Each interaction is a laboratory where skills are refined, insights are gained, and influence is cultivated. Listening deeply allows you to see beyond surface words, anticipate needs, and respond in ways that resonate meaningfully. This is the power of disciplined observation. The journey toward mastery begins with intention. Commit to listening fully, observing attentively, and reflecting consistently. Approach each conversation as an opportunity to understand and connect. Develop habits of patience, empathy, and disciplined attention. Over time, listening becomes second nature. Influence grows effortlessly as others recognize your presence, comprehension, and deliberate action. The quiet mastery of listening transforms relationships, deepens understanding, and amplifies personal impact without relying on volume or dominance. Listening is the first and most essential skill for anyone who wishes to speak less and influence more. The ability to understand deeply is the foundation for all other forms of influence. By cultivating awareness, controlling distractions, practicing patience, observing emotion, employing reflective listening, and engaging curiosity and empathy, you create a presence that naturally commands respect and trust. Each conversation becomes an opportunity to observe, learn, and apply, reinforcing self-mastery and the power to guide outcomes effectively. Mastering listening is not a destination, but a continuous journey of attention, reflection, and refinement. It shapes character, enhances relationships, and magnifies influence. Every moment you choose to listen fully is a moment you invest in understanding yourself, others, and the world around you. The deeper the listening, the greater the impact. Speaking less allows your words to carry weight, your presence to command attention, and your influence to expand without effort. Mastering listening is the cornerstone of personal growth and the gateway to enduring influence. Chapter 2: Observe body language to read hidden emotions effectively. Understanding people goes far beyond their words. What they say is only a small fraction of what they communicate. The rest is conveyed silently through posture, gestures, facial expressions, and subtle shifts in energy. Learning to read these signals opens the door to insight, empathy, and influence. Body language reveals intention, confidence, discomfort, honesty, and hidden emotions that words often conceal. The ability to observe and interpret these signals effectively allows you to navigate conversations with clarity, respond with precision, and influence outcomes without forcing your opinion. Observing body language is a skill that sharpens with attention, practice, and reflection. Start by noticing posture. The way someone carries themselves reflects both internal state and level of engagement. Open, upright posture suggests confidence and openness, while slouched or closed posture may indicate insecurity, disinterest, or tension. People often unconsciously mirror their emotional state through the alignment of their shoulders, head, and spine. By tuning into these patterns, you gain insight into what they feel beneath the surface. Observing posture consistently allows you to detect subtle shifts in confidence or comfort that words might not reveal. Facial expressions carry an enormous amount of emotional information. Micro-expressions, tiny, fleeting expressions that appear for a fraction of a second, often reveal true feelings. A quick furrow of the brow can indicate concern, even if the words spoken are neutral. A tightened jaw may suggest frustration or suppressed anger. Smiles may be genuine, indicated by crinkling around the eyes, or forced, appearing only in the mouth. By paying attention to these small cues, you can assess authenticity and emotional state in real time. With practice, detecting these micro-expressions becomes intuitive. Eyes are particularly revealing. They can signal interest, doubt, discomfort, or deception. People often look away when uncertain or anxious, maintain strong eye contact when confident, or glance frequently when distracted. Subtle patterns in eye movement, such as blinking rates or shifts in gaze, can indicate mental processing or emotional response. Learning to read eyes requires patience and focus. Observe not only the direction of gaze, but the intensity and duration. Eyes often communicate what words cannot, and interpreting them accurately gives you a deeper understanding of the individual. Hand movements provide insight into thought and emotion. Gestures often accompany speech, emphasizing points or conveying feelings. Open palms suggest honesty and willingness, while clenched fists or hidden hands may indicate tension or concealment. Fidgeting or repeated movements can reveal anxiety or impatience. By observing hand gestures in combination with speech, you gain a fuller picture of intent and emotion. Awareness of these cues allows you to respond appropriately, matching energy and tone without overreacting or misjudging the situation. Pay attention to the space people occupy. Personal space communicates comfort, dominance, or discomfort. Someone standing close may seek connection, exert influence, or test boundaries. Someone leaning back or creating distance may feel defensive, uncertain, or uninterested. Recognizing these spatial cues allows you to adjust your behavior to maintain engagement and influence. Respecting personal boundaries while observing their reactions provides valuable feedback on comfort levels and openness in any interaction. Subtle changes in breathing reveal emotional states. Rapid or shallow breathing can indicate stress, nervousness, or excitement. Slow, deep breathing often accompanies calmness or confidence. Observing breathing patterns alongside other cues, such as posture and facial expression, creates a multidimensional understanding of the person's inner state. By noticing these signs, you can time responses carefully, avoid triggering discomfort, and foster meaningful engagement. Tone of voice complements body language. It reflects mood, emphasis, and emotional weight. A flat tone may conceal dissatisfaction, while rising intonation can indicate uncertainty. Shifts in pace, volume, and rhythm often accompany hidden feelings. Listening closely to tone while observing gestures and expressions provides context that enriches comprehension. Understanding these nuances allows you to tailor your communication to resonate authentically and maintain control over the interaction. Observe clusters of signals rather than isolated gestures. A single movement may be meaningless, but when several cues align, they reveal consistent emotional patterns. Crossed arms combined with averted gaze and tight lips often signal defensiveness. Leaning forward with open palms and nodding frequently demonstrates engagement and agreement. By interpreting clusters, you reduce the risk of misreading cues and gain a reliable understanding of underlying emotions. This approach is more accurate than reacting to a single gesture or expression. Timing and changes in body language are significant. A person may shift posture, glance away, or adjust their hands during critical points in conversation. These shifts often indicate evolving emotions, emerging discomfort, or changing levels of engagement. Observing transitions rather than static positions allows you to respond to developments in real time. This awareness enhances your ability to influence conversations, guide outcomes, and create understanding without overt effort. Developing this skill requires deliberate practice. Begin by observing interactions in daily life without interfering. Notice how people move, gesture, and react in conversations, meetings, or casual encounters. Record your observations mentally, noting patterns and deviations. Over time, you develop an intuitive sense for hidden emotions, allowing you to navigate social situations with subtlety and precision. The goal is not to judge or manipulate, but to understand deeply. Empathy amplifies the value of observing body language. Understanding hidden emotions is most effective when paired with genuine concern for the person's experience. Recognize that gestures, expressions, and postures reflect their inner state. Responding with empathy strengthens connection and trust. Influence grows naturally when people feel understood and supported. Observing body language without empathy risks misinterpretation or manipulation. Approach every observation with the intention of comprehension, not judgment. Practically, practice silent observation in group settings. Watch interactions without contributing immediately. Note how individuals position themselves, make eye contact, or respond to statements. Compare reactions to spoken words. Identify patterns that align with emotions such as agreement, hesitation, or resistance. Reflect on your findings and apply them consciously in future interactions. This practice builds perceptual acuity and prepares you to respond strategically while speaking less. Active engagement enhances interpretation. Once you detect hidden emotions, validate understanding subtly through nonverbal feedback such as nodding, leaning slightly forward, or maintaining open posture. These small adjustments communicate attentiveness and encourage openness without interrupting or dominating. Influence is strengthened by subtle guidance that aligns with the other person's emotional state. Responding thoughtfully to body language signals demonstrates respect and builds credibility. Balance observation with self-awareness. While interpreting others, monitor your own body language, tone, and presence. Your gestures, posture, and expressions influence how people respond to you. Ensure that your nonverbal signals align with your intentions. Speaking less is ineffective if your body contradicts your message. By combining observation of others with disciplined self-presentation, you create coherence, authority, and persuasive presence. Consistency over time is key. Body language and emotional signals become more apparent through repeated observation. Engage in reflective practice regularly. After conversations, consider what cues were present, how you interpreted them, and how your responses affected outcomes. Refine your understanding through ongoing experience. Mastery emerges from sustained attention, deliberate analysis, and applied insight. Practice subtle mirroring to build rapport. When appropriate, reflect gestures, posture, or tone of others in a gentle manner. Mirroring fosters connection and demonstrates attentiveness. Use this technique sparingly and naturally. When executed correctly, it enhances influence without drawing attention to the act itself. Mirroring is a practical application of body language awareness that deepens understanding and strengthens trust. Observe cultural and contextual differences. Body language is influenced by social norms, personality, and situational context. What indicates agreement in one culture may signal discomfort in another. Remain attentive to environmental factors and adapt interpretation accordingly. Effective observation considers context, avoiding assumptions based solely on gestures. Sensitivity to these variables enhances comprehension and prevents misreading signals. The power of observing body language lies in anticipation. When you understand hidden emotions, you can predict reactions, address concerns proactively, and guide conversations strategically. Anticipation is not manipulation, it is informed responsiveness based on careful observation. People respond to those who navigate interactions with awareness and composure. Influence grows when you align responses with the underlying emotional currents rather than reacting superficially. Observe clusters of gestures, expressions, and tone while remaining patient. Avoid jumping to conclusions from a single signal. Watch patterns emerge over moments and interactions. Consistent observation reveals reliable cues to intent, confidence, discomfort, or engagement. Over time, your perception becomes almost instinctive, allowing you to read emotions accurately without overthinking. This is the core of body language mastery. Practical exercises include daily interactions with focus on observation. During meetings, social events, or casual conversations, note posture, gestures, facial expressions, tone, and pace. Record your findings mentally, analyzing alignment with spoken words. Reflect afterward on accuracy and lessons learned. Gradually, your ability to perceive hidden emotions improves, enhancing influence in every context. Mastering body language observation strengthens both personal and professional relationships. It allows you to navigate sensitive situations, guide discussions, and respond appropriately. Speaking less becomes natural because your responses are informed by subtle cues, not assumptions. Influence is amplified because your understanding is accurate, empathetic, and strategic. People respond positively to awareness, attention, and respect demonstrated through observation. Observing hidden emotions through body language is an ongoing process. Each interaction is an opportunity to refine skill, strengthen perception, and enhance influence. Awareness, patience, empathy, contextual understanding, and reflective practice form the foundation of this skill. Over time, your ability to perceive, understand, and respond appropriately grows, allowing you to communicate effectively with minimal speech. The mastery of body language observation transforms interactions, deepens connection, and amplifies your impact in every setting. Chapter 30. Pause thoughtfully before speaking to create strong impact. The power of a thoughtful pause is often underestimated. In conversations, meetings, and negotiations, the instinct is to fill silence immediately, to respond quickly, or to assert control over the flow of dialogue. Speaking too soon diminishes the clarity, weight, and influence of your words. Pausing intentionally allows time to observe, process, and respond with purpose. It is a discipline that transforms ordinary communication into a tool for leadership, authority, and understanding. Every pause creates space for insight, reflection, and precision. When used deliberately, it makes your presence felt, commands attention, and ensures that each word carries maximum impact. Pausing begins with self-awareness. Most people speak impulsively, reacting to stimuli rather than considering consequences. Before responding, notice your emotional state. Are you anxious, defensive, excited, or uncertain? Recognizing these feelings is the first step toward controlling your speech. A pause allows you to regulate your emotions and prevent reactive statements that could undermine influence. Awareness of timing, tone, and context enhances the effectiveness of communication. You respond not out of habit or impulse, but from observation and thought. The next principle is clarity of thought. A pause provides the opportunity to organize ideas before expressing them. This is particularly important in high-stakes situations where rushed responses may confuse, mislead, or weaken authority. Taking a moment ensures that your message is precise, structured, and aligned with your objectives. People instinctively respect clarity, and a well-timed pause signals that your words are considered, intentional, and meaningful. The absence of haste communicates confidence and credibility. Pausing also serves as a tool for active listening. When you remain silent after someone has spoken, it demonstrates attentiveness and encourages them to continue. Silence can prompt the other person to expand their ideas, reveal insights, or clarify points. This creates opportunities to gather more information before responding. By pausing, you position yourself as a thoughtful listener rather than a reactive speaker. Influence grows when you understand the situation fully and respond with intelligence rather than impulsivity. Strategically timed pauses enhance persuasion. A brief silence before delivering a key point draws attention and emphasizes importance. People instinctively lean in during pauses, anticipating what comes next. Pausing also allows your audience to absorb and process information. Rapid speech can overwhelm, dilute meaning, and reduce retention. By pacing communication with pauses, you control the rhythm of dialogue and guide others toward understanding and alignment. The impact of your message is strengthened because your words are measured, deliberate, and purposeful. A pause fosters reflection. In moments of tension, disagreement, or complex decision-making, taking a few seconds before responding allows you to consider consequences. You can evaluate alternatives, anticipate reactions, and choose responses that align with your values and goals. Reflection prevents regret and ensures that your speech serves strategic purpose rather than emotional release. Over time, this habit cultivates mental discipline, patience, and composure in all interactions. Practical techniques include counting silently before responding. Even 3 to 5 seconds of internal counting provides sufficient time to process information and formulate a precise response. During this moment, observe the other person's body language, tone, and emotions. Consider your objectives and the desired outcome of the conversation. This simple exercise cultivates restraint, enhances focus, and strengthens the weight of your words. It trains the mind to prioritize effectiveness over speed. Another method is mindful breathing. A slow inhalation and exhalation before speaking centers attention and calms emotional reactivity. Breathing provides a natural pause that reduces impulsiveness and promotes clarity. Coordinating speech with breath creates rhythm, steadiness, and presence. Your words are grounded in composure rather than haste, increasing their credibility and influence. People respond more favorably to those who communicate from a state of calm authority. Observation during the pause is equally important. While remaining silent, notice subtle cues from others, gestures, facial expressions, or shifts in tone. These details offer insight into their thoughts, feelings, and intentions. A well-timed pause provides a richer understanding of the context and allows for a response that resonates more effectively. Influence is amplified when your words are informed by awareness rather than assumption. Pausing transforms observation into actionable insight. A deliberate pause also encourages others to reflect. When used in dialogue, silence allows participants to think carefully about their own words and decisions. This can guide the conversation in productive directions without imposing your authority. People naturally adjust their communication when they sense attentiveness and restraint. Pausing creates a subtle, nonverbal influence that shapes interaction outcomes with precision and subtlety. Developing patience in speech is a long-term habit. Resist the urge to fill silence with unnecessary words. Over time, the practice of pausing before responding cultivates self-control, emotional regulation, and strategic awareness. People perceive those who speak deliberately as thoughtful, composed, and reliable. The habit of measured speech elevates your presence, establishes respect, and enhances credibility across all areas of life. Practice in everyday interactions builds mastery. In casual conversations, deliberately wait a moment before replying to questions or comments. Notice how the dynamic shifts when your response is measured rather than immediate. Observe how people respond to silence with additional information, clarification, or insight. Each interaction becomes a laboratory for refining the art of pause and developing influence without overt effort. Pausing thoughtfully also reduces conflict. Hasty words often escalate tension or create misunderstanding. A brief pause gives space to evaluate the situation, consider alternative phrasing, and respond constructively. You avoid unnecessary arguments, maintain control over your communication, and preserve relationships. Influence grows when others recognize that your responses are intentional, thoughtful, and guided by perspective rather than reaction. Silence strengthens persuasion in presentations and leadership. During discussions, pauses after key points allow ideas to resonate. They give listeners time to process, internalize, and engage with information. Repetition of ideas interspersed with thoughtful silence increases retention and impact. A pause communicates confidence and mastery, demonstrating that your words are worth attention and reflection. People are more likely to act on messages delivered with intentional rhythm rather than continuous, rushed speech. The pause enhances emotional intelligence. When emotions run high, delaying a response prevents impulsive reactions. You gain time to regulate your own feelings, consider the other person's perspective, and respond with empathy. Pausing under pressure demonstrates strength, patience, and composure. It reduces misunderstandings, builds trust, and strengthens relationships. Influence is a product of emotional awareness as much as verbal skill. Use pauses to transition between ideas effectively. Moving from one point to another without abruptness allows your audience to follow your reasoning. Silence creates natural breaks that emphasize structure, logic, and purpose. People are more receptive when information is delivered with pacing, highlighting critical points. Pausing provides rhythm that enhances comprehension and retention, ensuring your communication has impact and clarity. Reflection during the pause encourages strategic thinking. Evaluate which words will best convey your message and align with your goals. Consider tone, emphasis, and timing. The pause allows alignment of speech with intention, making every word purposeful. Over time, this habit strengthens self-discipline, attention to detail, and mastery over influence. Speaking less becomes a deliberate strategy rather than a limitation. Practicing the art of pause also develops listening skills. By not rushing to respond, you naturally pay closer attention to what others are communicating. Listening improves understanding, empathy, and awareness of unspoken cues. Pausing enhances comprehension and allows responses to address the core of the message rather than superficial elements. Influence grows as your communication is guided by insight rather than reaction. Incorporate pauses in written and verbal communication. In presentations, interviews, or meetings, deliberate gaps between ideas create emphasis. When responding to questions, take a measured moment to organize thoughts. Avoid filler words or rapid speech. The impact of communication increases when speech is controlled, intentional, and rhythmic. People respond instinctively to authority and confidence conveyed through pacing. Consistency is essential. Each pause reinforces discipline and strengthens the habit. Over time, thoughtful pauses become second nature. Speaking less does not reduce influence. It enhances it by creating weight, clarity, and attention. People perceive those who pause as deliberate, competent, and trustworthy. Your presence alone commands respect, and each word carries significance. Pausing also encourages self-reflection in the moment. While silent, consider the alignment of your words with your values and intentions. Choose language that reflects clarity, honesty, and purpose. This practice ensures that your communication supports personal growth and strategic objectives. Words delivered from reflection are more memorable, persuasive, and impactful. The habit of pausing thoughtfully transforms communication into influence. It allows observation, reflection, emotional regulation, and precise articulation. Silence is a tool, not emptiness. Speaking with intentionality strengthens trust, builds credibility, and deepens understanding. Each pause enhances the ability to guide conversations, make decisions, and leave a lasting impression. The discipline of measured speech shapes perception, creates authority, and amplifies impact. Mastery of pause requires patience, practice, and consistent reflection. Apply it in every interaction, from casual conversation to critical negotiations. Observe how people respond when words are measured, deliberate, and intentional. The subtle control created by silence reinforces influence, clarity, and presence. Over time, this skill becomes an integral part of personal growth, enhancing relationships, leadership, and professional effectiveness. Speaking less while pausing thoughtfully strengthens presence, deepens perception, and maximizes impact. The space created by silence allows observation, empathy, and strategic response. Influence grows naturally when words are delivered with timing, thoughtfulness, and purpose. Pausing before speaking is not hesitation, it is mastery. It ensures that every word resonates, commands attention, and aligns with intention. The practice transforms ordinary communication into a powerful instrument of influence and personal authority. Chapter 40. Focus attention fully on others to build trust quickly. Focusing attention fully on others is one of the most powerful skills for building trust and deepening relationships. People can tell immediately when attention is divided, distracted, or superficial. In every conversation, interaction, and encounter, the energy you give communicates far more than your words. Full attention creates presence, demonstrates respect, and signals that the other person's thoughts, feelings, and experiences matter. When you commit to giving undivided attention, you cultivate trust quickly because people instinctively feel understood and valued. Attention is a currency of influence, and how you spend it determines the strength of connection and the depth of respect you command. To develop this skill, begin by eliminating distractions. Phones, notifications, wandering thoughts, and multitasking fragment focus and reduce comprehension. Even subtle distractions, like glancing at a clock or fidgeting, convey disengagement. Give your full presence to the person in front of you. Maintain eye contact, adopt an open posture, and ensure your body communicates receptivity. Attention is both visual and mental, observing nonverbal cues, facial expressions, and gestures while fully listening signals sincerity. People respond to presence before they process words. Awareness of internal dialogue is essential. The mind naturally drifts to previous experiences, future concerns, or personal opinions. Discipline your attention to remain in the present moment. Each thought that pulls focus away should be acknowledged and released, returning your mind to the interaction. This conscious effort strengthens the capacity to remain fully attentive over time. Focused attention is not passive observation, it is active engagement. When the mind is fully present, you absorb subtle cues, understand unspoken meaning, and connect more deeply. Listening is the anchor of focused attention. True listening involves more than hearing words, It requires observing tone, pace, and emotional subtext. When you listen without planning a response or judgment, you create space for others to express themselves fully. People naturally open up when they sense their words are valued. Focused listening fosters trust because it demonstrates that you are engaged, empathetic, and receptive. The effort to understand fully communicates respect without any verbal declaration. Nonverbal alignment enhances focus. When facing someone, mirror their posture subtly, nod occasionally, and maintain gentle eye contact. These actions communicate attention without distraction. They show that you are attuned to their energy and receptive to their message. Subtle gestures of alignment build rapport unconsciously, accelerating trust and creating a sense of connection that words alone cannot achieve. Attention is often measured by the energy and consistency of presence rather than verbal affirmation. Observation of small details strengthens perception. People reveal personality, mood, and intentions in subtle ways through voice fluctuations, hand placement, breathing patterns, and fleeting expressions. By noticing these details, you gain insight into what is important to them. Focused attention amplifies this perception. Over time, this heightened awareness allows you to respond more accurately, offer meaningful feedback, and guide conversations effectively. Influence grows because others sense that you truly comprehend their experience. Ask questions thoughtfully while maintaining focus. Open-ended questions encourage the other person to elaborate and express themselves fully. Pause before responding to absorb answers completely. Avoid interrupting or shifting the conversation prematurely. Thoughtful inquiry demonstrates engagement and invites reflection, creating an environment where trust can flourish. The combination of attentive listening and purposeful questioning strengthens relationships and positions you as someone reliable, empathetic, and considerate. Empathy strengthens attention. Understanding another person's perspective requires stepping into their emotional and cognitive experience. Recognize the pressures, challenges, and desires influencing their words and actions. Respond in ways that reflect awareness of their state. Empathetic attention nurtures trust because people sense genuine understanding. Trust is not built solely on verbal assurances, but on consistent evidence that someone truly sees and values you. Attention becomes a bridge between understanding and influence. Silence is a powerful tool for maintaining focus. When others speak, resist the urge to fill gaps immediately. Allow moments of quiet to absorb meaning, observe reactions, and gather insights. Silence signals attentiveness and invites expansion. People often reveal more during pauses because they feel heard without pressure. The combination of active listening and deliberate silence creates a safe space where trust grows organically. Attention requires emotional regulation. Personal reactions, biases, or judgments can distract from full engagement. Monitor emotional responses and consciously return focus to the other person. Avoid projecting assumptions or expectations onto their words. By maintaining composure and neutrality, you ensure that your presence is supportive and non-judgmental. People recognize and respond to consistency in attention and emotional balance, reinforcing trust. Consistency over time builds credibility. Focused attention must extend beyond isolated interactions. Daily practice in personal, professional, and casual contexts reinforces the habit. Regular demonstration of presence establishes reliability and signals that you value relationships. Trust is strengthened when others consistently experience your attention as authentic, sustained, and meaningful. Influence grows naturally because people know your engagement is dependable rather than situational. Practical exercises include dedicated observation periods. In meetings, conversations, or social gatherings, concentrate solely on one person at a time. Note posture, gestures, tone, and phrasing. Reflect afterward on what you observed, how your focus influenced the interaction, and what insights you gained. Repeated practice sharpens attentional skills, refines perception, and reinforces the habit of complete engagement. Attention, once developed, becomes instinctive rather than deliberate effort. Mindful presence enhances verbal communication. When you speak after full engagement, your words carry weight and clarity. Responses are informed, precise, and contextually aware. People are more receptive when they perceive that you understand them deeply before speaking. Pausing and focusing attention before replying ensures that speech is meaningful, respectful, and aligned with the situation. Influence emerges because communication reflects comprehension, empathy, and deliberation. Avoid multitasking at all costs. Divided attention undermines trust and reduces impact. Even subtle distractions, such as glancing at a device or letting thoughts wander, signal disengagement. Full presence requires conscious choice, prioritization, and effort. Attention is strengthened by eliminating competing stimuli and intentionally directing energy toward the person and interaction at hand. Focused engagement communicates value and authority without requiring words. Awareness of nonverbal reciprocity enhances trust. People naturally adjust behavior based on perceived attention. Leaning slightly forward, maintaining eye contact, and aligning gestures subtly signal presence. These cues create a cycle of mutual engagement. Trust is reinforced because others feel understood, acknowledged, and respected. Influence increases because your consistent attentiveness guides interactions toward clarity, cooperation, and meaningful connection. Focused attention improves memory and retention. Observing details, listening fully, and noting emotional context allows accurate recall of critical information. People notice when someone remembers key points about them or previous discussions. This strengthens credibility and reinforces trust. Attention to detail demonstrates that relationships, communication, and understanding are valued. Influence is enhanced because actions reflect comprehension and reliability. Boundaries complement attentional focus. Giving full attention does not require sacrificing personal values or being overly compliant. It involves deliberate choice to engage meaningfully while maintaining clarity about your own position and intentions. Balanced attention communicates confidence, authority, and respect for self and others. Trust is strongest when people perceive consistency, attentiveness, and integrity simultaneously. Focused attention is a daily practice. Each conversation is an opportunity to refine perception, strengthen empathy, and deepen engagement. Observe, listen, reflect, and respond with intention. Over time, this skill enhances relationships, increases influence, and builds credibility. Speaking less becomes natural because presence communicates understanding more effectively than words. Attention transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for connection, trust, and meaningful impact. Mastering full attention cultivates resilience and awareness. When fully engaged, you notice subtleties others miss, understand unspoken motivations, and respond strategically. Trust is built through consistent demonstration of presence and empathy. Influence grows because people recognize authenticity, attentiveness, and reliability. Focused attention is not a passive trait, it is a deliberate, cultivated skill that shapes perception, strengthens relationships, and amplifies personal authority. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice presence. Commit fully, observe without judgment, and respond thoughtfully. Avoid superficial engagement or divided focus. The depth of attention you bring determines the quality of connection, speed of trust, building, and impact of your influence. Attention is both discipline and strategy, creating opportunities for understanding and communication that exceed verbal expression. Trust grows naturally when focus is consistent, intentional, and genuine. The habit of focusing fully on others develops clarity, empathy, patience, and awareness. It allows you to perceive needs, emotions, and intentions accurately. Speaking less becomes a strategic advantage because your responses are informed, thoughtful, and aligned with reality. Influence is amplified because people trust the depth of your perception, the intentionality of your engagement, and the reliability of your presence. Focused attention transforms interactions, strengthens relationship, and accelerates trust more effectively than words alone. Chapter 50. Ask precise questions to gain clarity and influence. Asking precise questions is one of the most effective ways to gain clarity, uncover hidden truths, and exert influence without dominating a conversation. Questions shape dialogue, guide thought, and reveal information that might otherwise remain hidden. When crafted intentionally, they prompt reflection, focus attention, and create opportunities for insight. People naturally respond to well considered inquiries because they convey interest, understanding, and respect. The ability to ask precise questions requires thought, observation, and patience. It is a skill that strengthens comprehension, builds trust, and positions you as someone capable of navigating complex interactions with intelligence and subtlety. The foundation of precise questioning begins with clarity of intention. Before speaking, determine what you genuinely need to know. Define the purpose behind the question and the outcome you seek. Avoid vague or unfocused inquiries, which lead to ambiguous answers and wasted effort. A clear objective allows you to frame questions that extract meaningful information while respecting the other person's time and energy. Questions become tools for understanding rather than instruments of interrogation. Precision in questioning requires simplicity. Complex, multi-part questions confuse and overwhelm. Short, direct questions are easier to process and more likely to elicit honest and useful responses. Each question should focus on one idea at a time. The goal is to remove ambiguity and guide the conversation toward clarity. People respond positively to simplicity because it signals thoughtfulness, attentiveness, and respect for their perspective. Clear questions also reduce the risk of misinterpretation and foster accurate communication. Timing is critical in questioning. Avoid interrupting or imposing questions prematurely. Observe the natural flow of conversation and introduce questions when the other person has completed their thought or when a natural pause occurs. Strategic timing demonstrates patience, attentiveness, and understanding. It ensures that your questions are received with openness rather than defensiveness. The rhythm of dialogue influences the effectiveness of every inquiry, and a well-timed question commands attention and consideration. Open-ended questions create opportunity. Questions that encourage elaboration, explanation, and reflection yield richer insights than yes or no inquiries. Phrases like, "Can you describe?" "What do you think about?" and "How did you approach?" invite detail and perspective. Open-ended questions reveal thought processes, motivations, and priorities. They foster engagement and create a sense of inclusion because people feel their knowledge and opinion are valued. Influence grows when responses reflect deeper understanding rather than superficial answers. Listening is integral to precise questioning. A question alone does not produce influence. It is the response that matters. Listen actively and attentively, absorbing both content and context. Note tone, emotion, and underlying concerns. Adjust subsequent questions based on the information provided. This dynamic approach ensures that each inquiry is purposeful, relevant, and progressively deeper. The combination of precise questioning and focused listening accelerates comprehension and strengthens the trust necessary for influence. Avoid leading or loaded questions. Manipulative inquiries reduce trust and often produce defensive or superficial responses. Precise questions are neutral, clear, and directed toward understanding rather than persuasion. The aim is to gather accurate information, not to coerce a particular answer. When people sense honesty and fairness in questioning, they respond openly and thoughtfully. Influence is enhanced when communication is perceived as respectful, transparent, and reliable. Observation complements precise questioning. Pay attention to nonverbal cues, energy shifts, and micro-expressions. Often, the way someone responds provides insight as important as the words themselves. Adjust your questions based on these observations. If tension appears, reframe questions to reduce pressure. If enthusiasm is evident, explore ideas more deeply. Observational awareness enhances the precision of your questions and increases the likelihood of meaningful dialogue. The structure of questions matters. Begin with general inquiries to establish context, then narrow toward specifics for detail and clarity. General questions provide comfort and allow the other person to engage without pressure. Specific questions extract actionable information and reveal priorities, challenges, or preferences. This layered approach ensures that dialogue progresses naturally while maximizing insight. Precision is achieved by guiding the conversation with intention and adaptability. Reflective questions foster insight and accountability. Asking someone to consider their reasoning, approach, or potential outcomes encourages critical thinking. Phrases like, "What factors influenced your decision?" or how would you approach this differently? Stimulate thought and self-analysis. Reflection builds ownership of ideas and strengthens clarity of thought. Questions that promote reflection also position you as a thoughtful guide rather than a judge, reinforcing trust and influence. The art of follow-up is essential. After an initial answer, precise follow-up questions deepen understanding. They demonstrate attentiveness, curiosity, and commitment to comprehension. Follow-ups can clarify ambiguous points, expand on ideas, or explore implications. Each additional inquiry builds depth, strengthens rapport, and signals that you value thorough understanding. Influence increases because people recognize your engagement and consider your attention meaningful. Avoid over-questioning. While questions are powerful, excessive or rapid-fire inquiries overwhelm, frustrate, or create suspicion. Balance inquiry with listening, reflection, and observation. Allow time for processing and response. Measured pacing signals composure and respect, enhancing the impact of each question. Influence grows when your inquiries feel intentional rather than intrusive. Each question carries weight because it is chosen thoughtfully, not delivered impulsively. Precision in wording is critical. Choose language that is clear, neutral, and specific. Replace vague terms with descriptive ones. Instead of asking, "Did that work?" consider, "What aspects of this approach achieved the desired outcome?" Specificity ensures the question targets the exact information needed and reduces ambiguity. Well-constructed questions convey intelligence, careful consideration, and focus, making them more likely to produce valuable insight and reinforce credibility. Emotional intelligence enhances questioning. Recognize the emotional state of the person you are engaging. Tailor questions to align with mood and receptivity. In high-pressure situations, softer phrasing encourages openness. In moments of enthusiasm, more challenging questions may be appropriate. Awareness of emotional context ensures that questions are received positively, increasing engagement, trust, and influence. Questions are most effective when they resonate with both intellect and emotion. Practice anticipatory questioning. Predict areas where clarity may be needed and formulate questions in advance. In meetings, interviews, or personal interactions, having prepared inquiries ensures that communication remains purposeful. Anticipatory questioning reduces impulsiveness, increases relevance, and demonstrates preparedness. Precision is enhanced because each question is deliberate, relevant, and aligned with strategic objectives. Anticipation strengthens influence by demonstrating foresight and attentiveness. Observation of response patterns improves skill over time. Notice how different types of questions elicit reactions. Identify which phrasing, timing, and tone yield clarity, engagement, or resistance. Use these insights to refine future inquiries. Developing an intuitive understanding of what drives effective responses allows questions to become more strategic, insightful, and influential. Precision evolves through practice, reflection, and adaptation. Clear questions guide decision-making. In professional or personal contexts, precise inquiry illuminates priorities, constraints, and options. Each answer provides actionable data that supports informed choices. Influence grows because well-structured questions direct attention to critical factors, uncover hidden assumptions, and clarify objectives. People naturally respect individuals who elicit thoughtful responses that lead to productive outcomes. Questions shape perception, guide thinking, and create clarity that amplifies authority. Balance curiosity with respect. Genuine interest strengthens trust and rapport, while intrusive questioning can undermine connection. Observe boundaries and adjust inquiry accordingly. Respectful questions are framed to elicit insight without pressure or judgment. Influence is heightened when the person feels understood, safe, and valued. Precision combined with consideration produces optimal outcomes. Developing mastery of precise questioning is a lifelong practice. Every interaction is an opportunity to refine phrasing, timing, and observation. Each response provides feedback to improve skill and adapt strategy. Precision transforms conversations into instruments of insight, influence, and trust. Speaking less while asking meaningful, thoughtful questions magnifies impact because dialogue becomes purposeful, focused, and actionable. Questions that clarify, guide, and reveal naturally create authority and credibility. Through deliberate practice, attention, and reflection, precise questioning becomes instinctive. You learn to discern what to ask, when to ask it, and how to interpret responses. Influence emerges because others recognize your thoughtfulness, understanding, and commitment to clarity. Each question communicates engagement, intelligence, and empathy. Precision in questioning transforms ordinary conversations into powerful tools for connection, insight, and leadership. The habit of asking precise questions strengthens understanding, cultivates trust, and amplifies influence. Thoughtful inquiry illuminates what is otherwise hidden, creates meaningful dialogue, and guides action. When words are limited but questions are deliberate, communication becomes highly effective. Influence grows because the combination of attentiveness, clarity, and insight demonstrates competence, care, and strategic presence. Questions are not simply requests for information, they are instruments for shaping understanding, building relationships, and navigating complex situations with precision. Chapter 6a: Reflect silently to make smarter decisions every day. Reflection is one of the most powerful tools for developing clarity, improving decision-making, and cultivating self-mastery. In the rush of daily life, decisions are often made impulsively, influenced by habit, emotion, or external pressure. Pausing to reflect silently creates space for perspective, evaluation, and intentional choice. Silence allows the mind to process experiences, gather insights, and consider consequences. Each moment spent reflecting strengthens awareness, sharpens judgment, and improves the quality of action. People who regularly practice reflection make smarter, more informed decisions because they respond with thought rather than reaction. The practice begins with creating intentional stillness. Set aside even a few minutes each day to disengage from distractions and focus inward. In silence, consider recent actions, conversations, and challenges. Ask yourself what went well, what could be improved, and what patterns are emerging. Reflection is not about self-criticism, but about observation and understanding. It is a disciplined act of noticing what works, what does not, and what adjustments are required. The mind becomes clearer when given the time to process and reorganize information. Observation during reflection is critical. Examine thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with honesty. Notice patterns in responses, decision-making habits, and recurring mistakes. Identify the triggers that influence choices, including impulses, stress, or external pressures. By observing without judgment, you gain insight into the factors shaping actions. Reflection uncovers unseen forces, clarifies priorities, and reveals hidden opportunities. Awareness creates the foundation for smarter decisions because decisions made without understanding are vulnerable to error. Silence enhances concentration. When the environment is free from noise and distraction, the mind can organize complex ideas and evaluate multiple perspectives. Thoughts that are often overlooked in the rush of activity emerge clearly during quiet reflection. The ability to focus without interruption improves reasoning and strengthens problem-solving skills. Decisions are more accurate when considered with full attention rather than fragmented awareness. Silence transforms scattered thinking into coherent strategy. Reflection also requires patience. Immediate answers are rarely the best. Allowing time to sit with a problem or choice permits deeper analysis. Consider short-term and long-term consequences and weigh potential outcomes carefully. Reflecting on multiple angles provides clarity that impulsive reactions cannot achieve. Patience in reflection cultivates discipline and reduces the likelihood of regret. Decisions made slowly and thoughtfully consistently outperform decisions made in haste. Writing during reflection reinforces clarity. Documenting thoughts, observations, and conclusions ensures they are tangible and actionable. Journaling allows the mind to externalize ideas, identify patterns, and track progress over time. Writing can reveal connections that were previously hidden and provides a reference for future decisions. Reflection becomes practical when it moves from abstract thought to written insight, creating a record of learning and self-awareness. Consider past experiences as a guide. Reflection involves reviewing previous decisions and their outcomes. Analyze what contributed to success and what led to mistakes. Past experiences provide invaluable lessons when observed critically and without defensiveness. Each reflection session builds a framework for more intelligent decision-making, increasing confidence and reducing reliance on chance or luck. Learning from history prevents repeated errors and strengthens strategic thinking. Reflection develops emotional regulation. When decisions are informed by quiet contemplation, impulsive reactions and emotional interference are reduced. Observing the emotional state during reflection allows recognition of stress, frustration, or excitement that could distort judgment. Emotional awareness ensures that choices are deliberate and rational rather than reactive. Self-control cultivated through reflection strengthens personal authority, influence, and the ability to navigate challenges with composure. Structured reflection enhances results. Begin by asking clear, focused questions. What am I trying to achieve? What are my options? What are the risks and benefits? What will the consequences of each choice be? Structured inquiry organizes thought, reduces mental clutter, and prioritizes what truly matters. It transforms reflection from passive rumination into a productive and actionable process. Every decision becomes grounded in awareness and strategy. Reflection encourages foresight. By considering potential outcomes, both positive and negative, you anticipate challenges before they arise. Visualize scenarios and evaluate the implications of each. Predictive reflection strengthens problem solving and prepares the mind to respond effectively when circumstances change. People who anticipate outcomes consistently outperform those who react only after situations have escalated. Silence provides the space to see beyond the immediate, creating foresight that informs smarter decisions. Consistency in reflection amplifies its impact. Daily practice ensures that insight is not sporadic but integrated into habits of thought and action. Regular reflection sharpens perception, improves judgment, and reinforces the discipline necessary to make wise choices consistently. Patterns become easier to recognize, blind spots diminish, and clarity increases. Decisions are increasingly informed, deliberate, and aligned with long-term goals. Reflection is not a one-time activity but a lifelong discipline that compounds over time. Reflection deepens self-awareness. Understanding personal strengths, weaknesses, values, and priorities improves decision-making because choices are guided by clarity about what matters most. Awareness of motivations ensures that decisions are aligned with purpose rather than external pressure or transient desire. Self-knowledge cultivated through silent reflection creates confidence, authority, and reliability. Decisions guided by awareness produce results that are consistent, sustainable, and impactful. Active listening within reflection is also valuable. When reviewing interactions with others, consider what was communicated, how it was received, and what could have been done differently. Analyze tone, timing, and content of conversations. Identify opportunities for improvement, areas of misunderstanding, and successful strategies. Reflection on interpersonal experiences enhances influence, strengthens relationships, and improves the ability to respond thoughtfully in the future. Reflection encourages strategic planning. By observing patterns and evaluating outcomes, decisions can be aligned with broader objectives. Consider both immediate actions and long-term consequences. Weigh alternatives and identify the most effective path forward. Strategic reflection ensures that each choice contributes to overarching goals rather than merely addressing immediate concerns. Deliberate decision-making strengthens influence, builds credibility, and accelerates progress in personal and professional life. Reflection builds problem-solving skills. When faced with challenges, silence and observation allow the mind to evaluate multiple solutions. Consider advantages, disadvantages, feasibility, and potential outcomes. Exploring alternatives in quiet contemplation enhances creativity and precision. Solutions derived from thoughtful reflection are more robust and resilient because they account for complexities that impulsive responses often overlook. Each decision benefits from depth, insight, and intentionality. Reflection strengthens accountability. By observing personal actions, decisions, and results, you take ownership of outcomes. Silent evaluation encourages responsibility for choices rather than attributing success or failure to external factors. Accountability reinforces credibility, develops trust, and ensures that actions are aligned with principles and objectives. Decisions made with reflective awareness carry weight because they are informed, deliberate, and responsible. The habit of reflection improves adaptability. Situations and challenges change, and decisions must respond to new information. Regular reflection allows assessment of evolving circumstances, evaluation of alternative approaches, and adjustment of strategy. Flexibility grounded in insight ensures that choices remain effective even when conditions shift. Reflection develops resilience because decisions are rooted in observation, awareness, and analysis rather than reaction to circumstance alone. Reflection also enhances personal growth. Regularly observing thought patterns, behaviors, and outcomes provides feedback for improvement. Insights from reflection inform daily practice, reinforce discipline, and strengthen habits. Decisions evolve from reactive to intentional, from impulsive to strategic. Personal mastery grows as each reflection session reinforces awareness, sharpens judgment, and develops wisdom applicable across situations. The practice of silent reflection creates mental clarity. When the mind is allowed space to consider, analyze, and evaluate, distractions fade and essential priorities emerge. Decisions made from clarity are precise, intentional, and impactful. Reflection transforms scattered thoughts into structured insight, enabling the mind to operate at a higher level of effectiveness. The quality of choices is directly proportional to the quality of reflection applied before action. Ultimately, reflection is a tool for consistent improvement. By integrating silent, deliberate contemplation into daily life, decision-making becomes a conscious process guided by awareness, observation, and strategic intent. Actions are strengthened by insight, relationships are improved through understanding, and influence is amplified through intentionality. Reflection is not optional for those seeking mastery over life, it is essential. Each moment of quiet observation contributes to smarter, more effective decisions that compound over time, producing lasting impact and personal growth. Chapter 70: Simplify words to communicate ideas more persuasively. Simplifying words is one of the most effective strategies for increasing clarity, building influence, and persuading others. Complexity often obscures meaning, confuses listeners, and dilutes impact. People naturally gravitate toward messages they can understand quickly and remember easily. The ability to express ideas in straightforward, concise language strengthens credibility and ensures that your message resonates. When words are simple, the audience focuses on the content rather than the delivery, and the core idea becomes impossible to ignore. Communicating persuasively depends on clarity, structure, and the ability to convey meaning without unnecessary complication. The first principle of simplification is understanding your audience. Effective communication begins with recognizing the knowledge, background, and perspective of those you are addressing. Tailor your language to ensure comprehension without oversimplifying essential points. Avoid jargon, technical terms, or abstract concepts unless they are necessary and understood. By framing ideas in familiar terms, you reduce cognitive load and make your message more accessible. Influence grows because clarity fosters trust, and people are more likely to follow guidance when they understand it fully. Focus on key ideas. One of the most common barriers to persuasive communication is overloading information. Trying to convey too many points at once causes confusion and reduces retention. Identify the core message and build your language around it. Each word should support the primary idea rather than distract from it. Simplified communication is not about dumbing down, it is about distilling complexity into digestible, impactful statements. People remember and act upon ideas that are easy to grasp and repeat. Use concrete language. Abstract or vague phrasing weakens influence because it leaves interpretation open-ended. Specific words, examples, and descriptions anchor ideas in reality and make them relatable. When concepts are presented concretely, listeners can visualize, connect, and understand more quickly. Concrete language also strengthens credibility because it demonstrates knowledge, awareness, and practical insight. Simplicity paired with specificity maximizes persuasiveness and ensures that your point is unmistakable. Avoid unnecessary modifiers and qualifiers. Phrases like very, extremely, or kind of dilute the impact of statements. Concise and direct language communicates confidence and authority. Each word should add value and contribute to understanding. The fewer distractions in speech, the greater the clarity. Removing redundant elements strengthens influence because listeners focus on the core idea rather than passing through excessive language. Persuasion is amplified when communication is concise, deliberate, and confident. Break down complex concepts into steps. When conveying multifaceted ideas, simplify by dividing information into clear, sequential elements. Step-by-step explanations allow others to follow reasoning logically and retain the message. People respond positively to clarity of structure because it reduces mental strain and increases engagement. Simplifying does not reduce sophistication. It enhances comprehension and demonstrates mastery over complex subjects by presenting them in an understandable manner. Use analogies and relatable examples sparingly. When simplification is necessary, relatable comparisons can clarify meaning without overcomplicating. Choose examples that resonate with the audience's experience and avoid abstract or confusing imagery. Well-chosen examples make ideas tangible and memorable. Persuasive communication is strengthened when listeners can connect concepts to situations they understand and recognize in their own lives. Practice brevity in spoken and written communication. Long sentences with multiple clauses increase the risk of misunderstanding. Short, direct sentences convey authority and maintain attention. Each statement should be purposeful and easily digestible. Pausing between ideas allows the audience to absorb meaning and reinforces impact. Simplified language ensures that essential points are communicated clearly, reducing the need for repetition or clarification. Eliminate filler words. Phrases such as, you know, like, or basically, weaken persuasiveness because they distract and reduce credibility. Deliberate, concise language demonstrates control, thoughtfulness, and professionalism. Every word should serve the goal of communicating effectively. People are more influenced when speech is precise, deliberate, and intentional rather than cluttered with unnecessary filler. Focus on active voice. Sentences constructed with active verbs communicate energy, confidence, and clarity. Passive structures obscure responsibility, reduce urgency, and make statements less compelling. For example, the team achieved results is more powerful than results were achieved by the team. Simplifying sentence structure strengthens authority and ensures that messages are impactful and memorable. Persuasive communication relies on clarity of action and accountability. Organize ideas logically. Clear structure guides the listener or reader through the message effortlessly. Start with the main point, follow with supporting evidence, and conclude with actionable insight. Logical sequencing reduces confusion and enhances retention. Simplifying ideas through structure ensures that your communication is coherent, persuasive, and easy to follow. People are more likely to adopt ideas when they are presented in an organized, straightforward manner. Avoid abstract abstractions that require interpretation. When the goal is influence, language should minimize ambiguity. Terms that are open to multiple interpretations reduce clarity and weaken persuasiveness. Precision ensures that listeners understand exactly what you mean and reduces the likelihood of miscommunication. Simplified expression allows your ideas to resonate clearly and leaves little room for doubt. Influence grows when others know exactly what is intended. Prioritize clarity over eloquence. While elegant language may impress, it can obscure meaning and reduce effectiveness. The goal is understanding, not decoration. Communicate so that ideas are accessible and actionable. People remember what they understand and can apply. Simplified communication ensures that your influence is grounded in comprehension rather than superficial style. Clarity demonstrates respect for the audience's time and attention. Ask yourself after every statement if the message is clear. Consider whether someone unfamiliar with the context would understand the point immediately. Remove unnecessary complexity and refine phrasing until clarity is achieved. Repetition can reinforce ideas, but unnecessary complexity does not. Simplifying language ensures that key messages are understood, retained, and acted upon. Influence increases when ideas are communicated transparently and without confusion. Use pauses strategically. Even when simplifying words, the rhythm of speech affects comprehension. Pauses give listeners time to process information, reflect on meaning, and internalize ideas. Silence complements simplicity because it prevents overload and creates space for the message to resonate. Persuasive communication combines concise language with mindful timing to maximize clarity and impact. Practice translating technical or abstract concepts into everyday language. When addressing diverse audiences, avoid assuming prior knowledge. Explain ideas using terms, examples, and analogies that are accessible. Simplified communication bridges gaps, reduces resistance, and fosters connection. Influence is enhanced when everyone can understand, relate to, and apply the information being conveyed. Consistency in word choice strengthens perception. Repeatedly using clear, simple, and precise language reinforces credibility. Avoid introducing unnecessary terms or switching styles mid-discussion. Reliability in communication creates trust because others know what to expect. Simplifying language consistently ensures that your ideas are recognizable, memorable, and persuasive. Reflection after communication improves skill. Observe responses to your message and adjust wording to enhance understanding in future interactions. Notice which phrases were misunderstood, which ideas resonated, and which required clarification. Continuous refinement ensures that your simplified language becomes more effective over time. Persuasion is strengthened through iterative practice, awareness, and adaptation. Simplicity is not weakness, it is precision. Every word that is clear, purposeful, and accessible amplifies influence because it is understood and remembered. People are drawn to messages that are easy to grasp, actionable, and credible. Persuasive communication relies on the ability to distill complexity into core ideas, remove distraction, and deliver meaning with clarity. Words are instruments of influence, and the fewer unnecessary ones you use, the more powerful each statement becomes. Mastering simplified language transforms conversations, presentations, and written communication. Ideas are more likely to be understood, respected, and acted upon. Speaking less while expressing meaning clearly creates authority, builds trust, and strengthens influence. The habit of simplifying words ensures that communication is not only heard but internalized and remembered. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to connect, persuade, and inspire through clarity, precision, and thoughtful expression. Chapter 80: Control tone to convey authority without raising voice. Controlling tone is one of the most subtle yet powerful ways to convey authority and influence without relying on volume or force. The way words are delivered often communicates far more than the words themselves. A calm, measured tone signals confidence, self-assurance, and control, while shouting or raising the voice can convey insecurity, desperation, or loss of composure. Authority arises not from the loudness of speech, but from consistency, clarity, and the perception that your presence alone commands attention. Mastering tone allows you to assert influence, guide interactions, and build respect without creating resistance or hostility. The foundation of tone control is self-awareness. Notice how your voice responds in different situations. Observe pitch, pace, inflection, and volume under stress or pressure. Recognize triggers that cause your voice to rise or fluctuate. Awareness allows deliberate adjustment rather than reaction. Authority is communicated through conscious choice, and control over tone demonstrates mastery over self and environment. People respond instinctively to the emotional signals conveyed by voice, making it one of the most immediate tools for establishing credibility. Consistency is critical. A steady, measured voice communicates calm confidence. Rapid shifts in tone, fluctuating volume, or abrupt emphasis can signal uncertainty or emotional instability. Maintain an even pace and rhythm, allowing words to land with impact rather than force. Consistency reassures listeners, reduces tension, and reinforces your presence as someone capable of managing situations effectively. Authority emerges naturally when communication is deliberate, controlled, and reliable. Pacing enhances perception of authority. Speaking too quickly can overwhelm listeners, while excessive hesitation may convey doubt. Moderate pacing allows ideas to be absorbed, reinforces comprehension, and creates a sense of command. Pausing strategically between statements emphasizes key points without the need for elevated volume. Listeners naturally attend to measured delivery, and persuasion is enhanced when speech is deliberate, reflective, and intentional. Tone should align with content. Words of instruction, guidance, or advice gain impact when delivered with calm authority rather than force. Supportive or explanatory statements require warmth, clarity, and patience. Mismatch between content and tone diminishes credibility, confuses the listener, and reduces influence. Mastery involves aligning emotional energy with intent, ensuring that the voice communicates purpose, clarity, and assurance simultaneously. Breath control is essential for maintaining steady tone. Tension, anxiety, or rushing causes vocal strain, pitch variation, and volume spikes. Deep, controlled breathing stabilizes the voice, enhances clarity, and supports measured delivery. Focused breath allows precise modulation, ensuring that authority is conveyed without aggression. People instinctively respond to controlled breathing because it signals composure, strength, and reliability. Volume should serve clarity, not dominance. Raising your voice often creates resistance, defensiveness, or disengagement. Authority is most effective when communicated through presence, tone, and conviction rather than decibels. Emphasis can be achieved through careful enunciation, deliberate pauses, and choice of words. A controlled, even tone communicates confidence, encourages attentiveness, and establishes respect without confrontation. Inflection conveys meaning and nuance. Subtle variation in pitch can emphasize key points, signal intent, and guide attention. Avoid dramatic swings or abrupt changes that suggest emotional instability. Controlled inflection reinforces authority by highlighting ideas strategically and maintaining listener engagement. Influence is strengthened when speech is expressive yet controlled, ensuring that meaning is clear without resorting to force. Clarity of articulation supports tone control. Pronouncing words deliberately and avoiding slurring or mumbling ensures that speech is understood effortlessly. Clear articulation signals competence and preparation. Authority grows when listeners do not need to decipher meaning or strain to follow. Simplified, precise language delivered with measured tone maximizes persuasiveness and leaves a lasting impression. Silence complements tone. Pauses between sentences or ideas enhance authority by creating space for reflection and comprehension. Silence allows statements to resonate, giving the listener time to absorb meaning. Strategic pauses also signal confidence, indicating that you are in control of both the conversation and your own presence. Authority is strengthened when speech is balanced with deliberate quiet rather than constant verbal activity. Observe the response of listeners. Tone is a form of communication that interacts with perception. Adjust pitch, volume, or emphasis as needed to maintain engagement and clarity without compromising composure. Effective control involves responsiveness rather than rigidity, ensuring that authority is maintained while connection is preserved. Influence grows when tone is tailored to context, audience, and objective. Practice modulation in daily interactions. Experiment with varying pace, volume, and inflection to achieve calm, persuasive delivery. Record speech or observe oneself in conversation to identify areas for improvement. Mastery of tone develops gradually through deliberate practice and self-reflection. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to refine vocal control and enhance impact. Authority emerges from repetition, awareness, and adjustment. Emotional regulation underlies tone control. Stress, frustration, or excitement can inadvertently alter pitch and volume. Recognize emotional states and consciously adjust delivery to maintain steady, authoritative presence. Calm control demonstrates resilience and strengthens credibility. Listeners are naturally influenced by composure, perceiving steadiness as competence and reliability. The ability to manage tone under pressure distinguishes influential communicators from reactive ones. Context matters in vocal delivery. Conversations, presentations, negotiations, and casual interactions each require subtle adjustment of tone. Formal settings may require measured authority and restraint, while collaborative environments benefit from warmth and clarity. Adapting tone to context ensures that communication is appropriate, effective, and influential without relying on force or volume. Authority is demonstrated by the ability to navigate diverse situations with consistent composure. Confidence is communicated through tone. Even when words are simple, a calm, firm voice signals competence and conviction. Listeners are drawn to certainty expressed without aggression. Confidence conveyed through tone is more persuasive than rapid speech, excessive explanation, or loudness. Influence is amplified when vocal delivery demonstrates assurance grounded in clarity, thoughtfulness, and self-mastery. Feedback strengthens skill. Pay attention to verbal and nonverbal responses from others. Positive engagement indicates effective tone control, while tension, distraction, or defensiveness may suggest adjustments are needed. Reflection and adaptation enhance vocal authority over time. Authority is reinforced when communication is consistently clear, measured, and responsive. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for growth and refinement. Control of tone also affects perception of leadership. Leaders who speak calmly inspire trust, maintain engagement, and reduce anxiety among team members. Authority conveyed through measured vocal delivery fosters cooperation and encourages action without conflict. People follow those who communicate with clarity, composure, and assurance, demonstrating that influence is as much about presence as it is about words. Developing tone control strengthens persuasion. When people listen without distraction, uncertainty, or resistance, your ideas are more likely to be received, internalized, and acted upon. Simplified words delivered with steady, confident tone ensure comprehension and credibility. Persuasion becomes natural because clarity, consistency, and calm authority dominate the interaction rather than volume or force. Each statement carries weight because it is grounded in presence, preparation, and emotional regulation. Mastery of tone transforms communication. Speaking less while conveying authority amplifies impact. Listeners are guided by confidence, clarity, and composure rather than by dominance or aggression. Influence grows because authority is established through presence, skill, and deliberate vocal delivery. Tone is a vehicle for trust, clarity, and persuasiveness. Each interaction reinforces credibility, respect, and the ability to inspire action without raising the voice. Authority through tone is a lifelong practice. Continual attention to pitch, volume, inflection, pacing, and emotional alignment strengthens communication in every context. Consistent mastery over vocal delivery cultivates respect, influence, and trust. Speaking calmly, deliberately, and clearly ensures that your ideas are not only heard but internalized and acted upon. Tone is a silent form of power, and control over it enhances every interaction, amplifying presence and effectiveness. Chapter 9. Manage emotions to respond calmly under pressure. Always. Managing emotions is one of the most critical skills for maintaining clarity, influence, and composure in any situation. Life often presents moments of stress, conflict, and uncertainty, and the way you respond emotionally determines not only the outcome, but also the perception others have of you. Calm responses under pressure are not a matter of suppression or avoidance, but of awareness, regulation, and deliberate action. Emotional mastery ensures that decisions are rational, communication is effective, and influence is maintained regardless of external circumstances. People naturally respect those who remain composed when situations are challenging because calmness signals competence, reliability, and inner strength. The first step in managing emotions is awareness. Recognize what you are feeling at the moment without judgment. Label the emotion, whether it is frustration, anxiety, anger, or excitement, and observe how it affects your thoughts, decisions, and behavior. Awareness creates a pause between stimulus and reaction, allowing you to choose how to respond rather than reacting impulsively. Understanding the triggers of emotional responses is crucial because it enables deliberate management instead of unconscious reaction. Breath control is a fundamental tool for emotional regulation. In moments of pressure, the body responds with increased tension, rapid heartbeat, and shallow breathing. Deep, controlled breaths reduce physiological stress, slow heart rate, and calm the nervous system. Focusing on breathing anchors the mind and body, creating a sense of control. When emotional intensity rises, conscious breath management allows clarity to emerge, enabling measured responses rather than reactive impulses. Observation without judgment strengthens emotional control. Acknowledge the emotion, but do not label it as good or bad. Emotions are signals that provide information about the situation, your needs, and your environment. Accepting emotional experience without resistance prevents escalation and maintains mental clarity. Calm response is achieved when emotions are observed objectively and utilized as information rather than allowed to dictate actions. Preparation improves resilience under pressure. Anticipate situations likely to evoke strong emotional responses and develop strategies to maintain composure. Consider scenarios in advance, identify potential triggers, and plan responses that uphold clarity and influence. Preparedness reduces surprise, builds confidence, and enhances the ability to remain centered when stress arises. Emotional regulation is reinforced when the mind is familiar with challenges and equipped with practical coping mechanisms. Pause before responding. Emotional intensity often drives immediate reaction, which can lead to mistakes, miscommunication, or regret. Creating a pause, even a brief one, allows for assessment of the situation, evaluation of consequences, and alignment of response with intention. Strategic pause transforms impulsive reactions into thoughtful action. People who respond calmly are perceived as trustworthy, reliable, and authoritative, which strengthens influence in any interaction. Reflection after stressful events reinforces mastery. Analyze responses, consider what worked, and identify opportunities for improvement. Self-reflection allows for learning from emotional experiences and gradually develops habitual composure. Observing how emotions influence decisions, communication, and interactions ensures that future responses are more measured and deliberate. Emotional management is a skill strengthened through consistent evaluation and application. Focus on the present moment. Emotions are intensified by dwelling on past mistakes or anticipating future challenges. Centering attention on what is happening now reduces anxiety and prevents escalation of stress. Present, focused awareness enables clear perception, accurate assessment of options, and thoughtful action. Calm responses emerge when the mind is grounded in reality rather than entangled in imagined scenarios or regrets. Self-talk shapes emotional regulation. Internal dialogue influences how situations are interpreted and experienced. Replace negative or reactive thoughts with affirmations of control, clarity, and capability. Phrases like, "I can handle this calmly," or "I will respond thoughtfully," reinforce confidence and reduce emotional volatility. Intentional self-talk guides perception, sustains composure, and ensures that actions are aligned with purpose rather than emotion. Physical cues affect emotional state. Body posture, facial expression, and tension levels influence both internal experience and external perception. Maintaining upright posture, relaxed shoulders, and neutral facial expressions signals confidence and promotes calmness internally. Deliberate adjustment of physical presence reinforces mental control and conveys authority even in high-pressure situations. People respond instinctively to composed body language, enhancing credibility and influence. Listening is enhanced by emotional control. When emotions are unmanaged, attention narrows and comprehension decreases. Calm presence allows active listening, accurate interpretation of information, and responsiveness that is strategic rather than reactive. Effective communication under pressure depends on the ability to remain attentive, process input clearly, and respond with thoughtful intention. Emotional regulation directly supports clarity, persuasion, and impact in dialogue. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Stressful situations often trigger defensive or reactive emotions, but shifting perspective allows problem-solving and strategic response. Viewing pressure as an occasion to demonstrate skill, composure, and resilience reframes the experience from threat to opportunity. Reframing strengthens emotional control because it replaces fear, frustration, or anxiety with focus, determination, and confidence. Calm response becomes habitual when challenges are consistently reframed positively. Set boundaries to maintain emotional equilibrium. Protect mental energy by defining limits on interactions, workloads, or exposure to high-stress situations. Boundaries create space for thoughtful reflection and deliberate response. Emotional regulation is reinforced when you proactively manage exposure to triggers and maintain autonomy over personal focus. People who control their environment strategically are less likely to react impulsively and more capable of influencing outcomes. Practice detachment from external validation. Emotional reactions are intensified by seeking approval or fearing disapproval. Cultivate internal validation by relying on principles, judgment, and self-assessment. Respond based on clarity, purpose, and observation rather than external pressure. Detachment enhances emotional stability, ensures measured responses, and increases influence because reactions are deliberate and grounded. Authority grows when composure is independent of external influence. Develop empathy to regulate responses. Understanding the perspective and emotions of others reduces reactive impulses and fosters measured interaction. Empathy allows recognition of intent, motivation, and context, preventing misinterpretation or escalation. Calm responses are facilitated when emotional insight into others guides communication, allowing influence to be exerted through understanding rather than confrontation. Emotional regulation and empathy together create persuasive presence. Mindfulness strengthens emotional resilience. Regular practice of awareness, attention, and observation improves the ability to notice emotional shifts and adjust responses accordingly. Mindful individuals are less likely to be hijacked by sudden stress or provocation. Calm response is cultivated through ongoing awareness of internal states, triggers, and external cues. Habitual mindfulness embeds composure as a natural, automatic element of behavior. Focus on long-term goals when emotions rise. Pressure often distracts from priorities and encourages impulsive decisions. Anchoring thought on objectives ensures that responses align with purpose rather than momentary reaction. Emotional control is maintained when attention is directed toward meaningful outcomes rather than transient stresses. Influence and effectiveness are maximized when actions are guided by vision, clarity, and disciplined thought. Reinforce resilience through routine. Daily habits that strengthen physical, mental, and emotional health reduce vulnerability to stress. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, and reflection create a foundation for composure under pressure. Strong habits support calm decision-making and increase capacity to respond effectively to challenging situations. Emotional mastery is sustainable when reinforced through consistent practice and self-care. Develop problem-focused strategies. Instead of reacting to the emotion itself, focus on actionable steps to address the situation. Identify solutions, evaluate options, and determine the most effective course. Directing energy toward resolution reduces emotional intensity and promotes rational action. Calm response is reinforced by a mindset that emphasizes action, clarity, and adaptability rather than dwelling on emotional turbulence. Practice gratitude under stress, recognizing what is working or what can be appreciated even in pressure-filled circumstances shifts perspective and reduces emotional reactivity. Gratitude reinforces composure, stabilizes mood, and enhances clarity. Calmness becomes easier to maintain when the mind focuses on positive elements, resources, or progress rather than solely on challenges or threats. Mastering emotional regulation under pressure transforms personal effectiveness. Decisions are clearer, communication is more persuasive, and influence is strengthened. Calm response communicates competence, inspires confidence, and fosters trust. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings, but about channeling energy, observing triggers, and responding intentionally. Each moment of pressure becomes an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, insight, and strategic mastery. Chapter 10a. Respect opinions to foster collaboration and mutual respect. Respecting opinions is essential for creating collaboration, building trust, and establishing long-lasting influence. Every interaction involves the exchange of perspectives, and acknowledging the views of others creates an environment where ideas can flourish. Respect does not require agreement, but it requires listening, valuing input, and responding thoughtfully. When people feel their opinions are recognized, they are more willing to engage, cooperate, and contribute meaningfully. Dismissing, ignoring, or belittling the perspectives of others breeds resistance, resentment, and disengagement. Influence grows when respect is the foundation of communication, because People naturally gravitate toward those who validate their experience while guiding discussions with wisdom and clarity. The first step is active listening. Pay attention not only to the words being spoken, but also to the emotion, intention, and reasoning behind them. Listening demonstrates that the speaker's perspective matters, even if it differs from your own. Engage fully by avoiding distractions, making eye contact, and giving the conversation your focus. Genuine listening signals respect and opens the door for collaboration. People are more receptive when they feel heard and understood, which strengthens relationships and mutual trust. Avoid interrupting or imposing your viewpoint prematurely. Allow the speaker to finish expressing their ideas before responding. Interruptions often communicate superiority, impatience, or disregard. When you pause to listen fully, you not only gain more information, but also create a space where others feel safe to share openly. Respectful communication encourages transparency, cooperation, and meaningful exchange. Collaboration thrives in environments where all participants can contribute without fear of dismissal. Ask clarifying questions to show engagement. Questions demonstrate that you are processing the ideas and are invested in understanding the reasoning behind them. Thoughtful inquiries validate the speaker's perspective and provide additional insight. When you inquire respectfully, it signals curiosity rather than judgment. Understanding different viewpoints enhances decision-making, strengthens collaboration, and ensures that solutions reflect a broader range of perspectives. Acknowledge the value in opposing opinions. Even if you disagree, recognize the reasoning, effort, or insight behind the view. Statements such as, "I see your point," or "that perspective has merit," demonstrate recognition without requiring agreement. Validation creates psychological safety, encouraging individuals to contribute freely. People who feel respected are more likely to cooperate, compromise, and support shared goals. Influence grows when mutual respect is established, because collaboration becomes the natural outcome of communication rather than conflict. Separate ideas from the person presenting them. Avoid personal attacks or judgment when responding to differing opinions. Focus on the content rather than making it about the individual. Constructive disagreement fosters progress, while criticism of the person breeds defensiveness and disengagement. Maintaining respect for individuals while evaluating ideas objectively strengthens influence, encourages collaboration, and builds trust in professional and personal relationships. Remain calm and composed during disagreements. Emotional reactions can undermine respect and hinder collaboration. Even when faced with strongly opposing views, maintain a neutral tone and steady body language. Calm engagement signals authority and stability, allowing the conversation to remain productive. People are more likely to respond positively to reasoned discussion than to heightened emotion. Respectful composure fosters a culture of collaboration and encourages others to match your demeanor. Encourage participation from all voices. People often withhold opinions if they feel undervalued or ignored. Ensure that everyone has the opportunity to express ideas by asking for input, actively inviting contributions, and creating an inclusive environment. Collaboration thrives when multiple perspectives are acknowledged and incorporated. Respecting opinions means recognizing that every contribution has potential value, even if it differs from the majority view. Provide constructive feedback without diminishing the speaker's perspective. Frame responses in a way that critiques ideas rather than undermining the individual. Offer alternative solutions, ask questions for consideration, or suggest adjustments while affirming the effort behind the opinion. Balanced feedback demonstrates respect, encourages dialogue, and preserves collaboration. People are more open to influence when they feel that their input has been considered thoughtfully rather than dismissed outright. Recognize that diversity of opinion strengthens outcomes. Different experiences, knowledge, and perspectives contribute to more comprehensive understanding and better solutions. Respecting varied viewpoints allows for broader insight, reduces blind spots, and promotes creative problem solving. Collaboration improves when differing opinions are integrated into decision-making processes, resulting in solutions that are more resilient, practical, and effective. Influence increases when others see that you value their input while guiding discussions toward shared objectives. Practice humility. Accept that your perspective is not the only valid one. Avoid assuming that agreement with your opinion is necessary for respect. Humility demonstrates maturity, emotional intelligence, and openness. People naturally respond to those who listen actively and consider other perspectives rather than insist on dominance. Authority based on respect inspires voluntary collaboration and strengthens influence across relationships. Observe nonverbal communication to detect unspoken opinions. Body language, facial expressions, and gestures can reveal feelings or perspectives that are not expressed verbally. Paying attention to these cues allows for more complete understanding and demonstrates attentiveness. Responding to unspoken concerns reinforces respect and shows that you value the full scope of input. Collaboration is enhanced when both spoken and unspoken perspectives are acknowledged and considered. Align actions with expressed respect. Acknowledgement of opinions must be matched by behavior. Implement ideas when appropriate, incorporate feedback, and follow through on agreements. Respect is reinforced through consistency between words and deeds. People are more willing to collaborate when they trust that their contributions will be treated seriously and influence outcomes meaningfully. Influence grows when respect is both communicated and demonstrated through action. Avoid dismissive language or tone. Phrases like, "That's irrelevant," or "That doesn't make sense," immediately diminish collaboration and trust. Even if disagreement is necessary, frame responses constructively and thoughtfully. Respectful language fosters engagement, encourages open dialogue, and maintains productive interaction. Collaboration relies on a communication style that values input and frames differences as opportunities for growth. Learn from opinions that differ from your own. Consider how alternative viewpoints challenge assumptions, reveal blind spots, or suggest innovation. Respecting opinions is not passive acceptance, it is active learning. Insight gained from diverse perspectives strengthens decisions, improves strategies, and enhances problem-solving abilities. Influence is increased when others perceive that their views contribute meaningfully to outcomes. Cultivate patience during dialogue. Understanding perspectives often requires time and careful attention. Avoid rushing conclusions or responses. Allow conversations to unfold naturally, ensuring that all voices are heard and processed. Patience demonstrates respect, builds rapport, and increases the likelihood of collaborative solutions. People are more receptive to guidance when they feel their opinions have been thoroughly considered. Maintain consistency in respectful engagement. Treat all opinions with consideration, regardless of status, experience, or alignment with your own. Consistency reinforces trust, builds credibility, and ensures that collaboration is not dependent on favoritism or convenience. Influence grows when respect is reliably extended to every interaction, creating an environment of fairness and openness. Encourage dialogue rather than debate. Focus on shared understanding and problem-solving instead of winning an argument. Promote conversation that explores perspectives, uncovers insights, and identifies common ground. Respectful dialogue strengthens collaboration and enhances mutual trust, making influence more sustainable and effective. Model respectful behavior as a standard for others. Demonstrate attentive listening, constructive feedback, and thoughtful engagement. Your approach sets the tone for the group, encouraging reciprocity and fostering a collaborative environment. Influence is amplified when respect becomes an observable practice that others emulate naturally. People are drawn to leaders who create culture through action rather than demand. Celebrate contributions openly. Recognize ideas, suggestions, and insights in a way that validates the individual and encourages continued engagement. Public acknowledgement reinforces respect and strengthens collaborative bonds. Influence is strengthened when people feel that their opinions matter and collaboration becomes habitual and productive. Recognition motivates participation and fosters a culture where shared goals are achieved collectively. Respecting opinions cultivates influence that is sustainable, collaborative, and impactful. Authority rooted in respect encourages cooperation, strengthens relationships, and creates an environment where ideas flow freely. Listening, validating, and thoughtfully responding to perspectives builds trust and encourages meaningful engagement. Collaboration thrives when individuals feel valued, heard, and considered, and influence is amplified when communication is guided by respect and intentionality. Mutual respect transforms interaction into partnership, ensuring that every voice contributes to collective success. Chapter 11. Analyze situations before speaking to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Analyzing situations before speaking is a critical skill for preventing unnecessary conflicts and maintaining influence in every interaction. Words carry weight, and careless responses often escalate tension, create misunderstandings, and reduce credibility. Taking the time to observe, assess, and evaluate circumstances before expressing your perspective ensures that communication is intentional, measured, and effective. Influence grows when speech is strategic, and unnecessary conflicts are avoided because your words are aligned with context, timing, and purpose. Understanding the environment, the people involved, and the potential consequences of your words allows you to navigate conversations with clarity and authority. The first step in situational analysis is observation. Before responding, notice the dynamics of the conversation, the emotions of participants, and the broader context. Watch body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions to gain insight into underlying tension or intent. Observation allows for informed responses rather than reactive statements. People respond more positively when interactions are thoughtful and considerate rather than impulsive. Analyzing cues before speaking prevents misinterpretation and reduces the risk of conflict. Pause before speaking. Even brief moments of reflection can prevent regret and misunderstanding. A deliberate pause allows you to organize thoughts, choose words carefully, and assess potential reactions. Speaking impulsively often leads to statements that are defensive, emotionally charged, or counterproductive. Pausing demonstrates self-control, thoughtfulness, and respect for the conversation, all of which increase credibility and influence. Understand the context of the situation. Each conversation occurs within a specific environment that affects perception, emotion, and communication style. Assess whether the timing, location, or audience may impact how your words are received. Contextual awareness allows for better framing of ideas and reduces the risk of conflict. Strategic consideration of situational factors ensures that speech aligns with objectives, tone, and desired outcomes. Consider the perspectives of all parties involved. Identify their needs, motivations, and emotional state. Understanding others' viewpoints provides insight into how statements might be interpreted and whether they could provoke defensive or hostile reactions. Analyzing perspectives allows for communication that is empathetic, respectful, and tailored, enhancing influence and minimizing conflict. People are more receptive when they feel their perspective has been considered. Evaluate the potential consequences of your words. Anticipate the immediate and long-term impact of statements on relationships, trust, and collaboration. Avoid impulsive remarks that might damage credibility, escalate tension, or create unnecessary obstacles. Thoughtful evaluation strengthens decision-making, ensures constructive interaction, and preserves authority. Speaking with foresight demonstrates maturity, self-awareness, and strategic influence. Ask yourself if speaking is necessary. Not every thought requires verbal expression. Silence can often communicate understanding, patience, and control more effectively than words. Choosing when to speak ensures that each statement has purpose and value. Avoiding unnecessary commentary prevents conflicts and allows energy to be directed toward constructive action. The ability to discern when silence is more effective than speech is a mark of emotional intelligence and leadership. Clarify your intention. Before responding, determine the purpose of your communication. Are you seeking to inform, persuade, resolve a problem, or maintain harmony? Clear intention guides word choice, tone, and delivery. Statements with purpose are less likely to provoke misunderstanding or resistance. Intentional communication reduces conflict by ensuring that words are aligned with desired outcomes rather than reactive impulses. Practice active listening. Fully understand the content and emotion behind what others are saying. Misinterpretation often leads to unnecessary disputes. Reflecting on what has been communicated allows for responses that address the real issues rather than imagined ones. Listening thoroughly before speaking signals respect, encourages collaboration, and reduces the likelihood of conflict. Influence is strengthened when responses are based on accurate understanding rather than assumptions. Frame statements carefully. Use language that conveys ideas respectfully and constructively. Avoid accusatory, judgmental, or emotionally charged phrasing that might provoke defensiveness. Choose words that communicate your perspective while maintaining collaboration and respect. Thoughtful framing allows you to address issues without creating unnecessary friction and increases the likelihood of a productive response. Consider timing and delivery. Speaking at the wrong moment can escalate tension, even if the message is valid. Assess whether emotions are running high, if the environment is appropriate, and if participants are receptive. Effective timing allows ideas to be received thoughtfully and reduces the potential for conflict. Paired with controlled tone, timing ensures that your influence is persuasive rather than confrontational. Separate facts from assumptions. Misunderstandings often arise when conclusions are drawn prematurely or based on incomplete information. Verify details, confirm understanding, and avoid reacting to interpretations that may be inaccurate. Analysis grounded in facts strengthens credibility, reduces conflict, and allows communication to address real issues effectively. Thoughtful evaluation ensures that words are precise, relevant, and constructive. Maintain emotional regulation during analysis. Strong emotions can cloud judgment and lead to reactive statements. Recognize emotional triggers, manage internal responses, and choose words from a place of clarity rather than impulse. Calmness enhances strategic assessment, ensures thoughtful communication, and prevents escalation. People naturally respect those who respond with composure, even in tense situations. Identify common ground. In analyzing a situation, look for shared values, objectives, or interests. Highlighting areas of agreement before addressing differences reduces friction and fosters collaboration. Finding alignment ensures that communication is constructive, reduces the potential for conflict, and strengthens relationships. Influence is enhanced when interactions focus on solutions and mutual benefit rather than disagreement alone. Reflect on previous similar situations. Consider how similar conversations unfolded, what strategies were effective, and what mistakes caused tension. Learning from experience informs current analysis and decision-making. Anticipating potential pitfalls allows for proactive adjustment of language, tone, and approach. Reflection improves situational awareness and enhances the ability to respond strategically. Simplify responses. Avoid overcomplicating explanations or arguments. Direct and concise communication reduces misinterpretation, keeps focus on the main points, and minimizes opportunities for conflict. Clear language demonstrates competence, maintains attention, and ensures that the core message is understood. Influence increases when communication is straightforward and deliberate rather than convoluted or reactive. Evaluate power dynamics. Consider the hierarchy, roles, and influence of participants before speaking. Understanding relational context guides the tone, assertiveness, and framing of statements. Strategic adjustment of communication based on these dynamics prevents unnecessary tension, maintains respect, and ensures effectiveness. Influence grows when statements are tailored to the relational environment. Anticipate potential objections. Analyze how statements might be challenged or misunderstood. Preparing responses in advance reduces defensiveness and allows for calm, persuasive communication. Thoughtful anticipation ensures that discussion remains productive rather than escalating into conflict. Influence is strengthened when challenges are addressed thoughtfully and proactively. Balance assertiveness with respect. Speaking with confidence is essential, but aggressive or dismissive language can provoke resistance. Assertive, measured communication conveys authority while maintaining collaboration and trust. Evaluating the balance before speaking ensures that words command attention without creating opposition. Influence is maximized when authority is paired with respect and strategic delivery. Observe reactions while speaking. Adjust tone, phrasing, or pace in real time based on feedback from body language, facial expression, and verbal cues. Situational awareness continues even after speaking begins, allowing for ongoing management of potential conflict. Responsive adjustment demonstrates adaptability, emotional intelligence, and thoughtfulness. People respond positively when communication is both deliberate and attentive. Analyze intentions behind words, not just content. Recognize the underlying motivation, concern, or need that drives statements. Responding to intent rather than only surface content prevents miscommunication and reduces the likelihood of conflict. Understanding underlying drivers allows for solutions-oriented communication that respects all perspectives and encourages collaboration. Mastering situational analysis before speaking transforms communication. Conversations become purposeful, conflict is minimized, and influence is strengthened. Thoughtful observation, reflection, and strategic delivery ensure that words align with context, relationships, and desired outcomes. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to guide discussions, foster cooperation, and maintain credibility. By analyzing situations before speaking, speech becomes a tool of clarity, authority, and constructive influence rather than a source of misunderstanding or unnecessary tension. Chapter 12. Practice patience consistently to strengthen personal and professional influence. Patience is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and influence, yet it is often underestimated. Many people confuse patience with passivity, but true patience is an active practice of restraint, observation, and strategic action. It allows decisions to be made with clarity, relationships to develop with trust, and influence to grow naturally. People who act impulsively often create conflict, regret, or misunderstanding, while those who consistently practice patience command respect and inspire confidence. Patience is not simply waiting, it is the ability to remain calm, focused, and deliberate even when circumstances are challenging, progress is slow, or outcomes are uncertain. The first step in cultivating patience is awareness of impulses. Recognize the moments when the desire to act immediately is strong. Observe the tension, frustration, or urgency without reacting. Awareness allows the mind to pause, analyze, and decide the most effective course of action. The more conscious you become of your impulses, the more control you gain over your behavior. Patience begins with the recognition that immediate reaction is not always necessary or productive. Developing patience requires reframing perception. Slow progress or delays can feel irritating or inconvenient, but they are often opportunities for reflection, learning, and preparation. Viewing challenges as part of the process rather than obstacles reduces frustration and encourages steady action. Patience strengthens when you accept the natural pace of events instead of attempting to force outcomes prematurely. Understanding that every step contributes to the ultimate goal fosters resilience and calmness. Practice strategic pause. In conversations, decision-making, or problem-solving, pausing before responding allows for assessment of the situation, evaluation of alternatives, and control over emotional reactions. Immediate responses are often driven by emotion, incomplete information, or habitual reaction. Taking a deliberate pause ensures that actions are thoughtful, communication is clear, and decisions are aligned with long-term objectives. People are drawn to those who act with intention rather than react impulsively. Patience enhances listening skills. When you allow others to speak fully without interruption or judgment, you gain valuable insight and build trust. Listening attentively demonstrates respect and interest in understanding perspectives rather than imposing your own. Thoughtful engagement strengthens relationships and ensures that influence is grounded in comprehension rather than assertion. Patience in conversation creates an environment where ideas flow, collaboration thrives, and meaningful solutions emerge. Recognize the role of timing. Many outcomes improve when action is delayed strategically. Reacting too quickly can disrupt processes, escalate tension, or create avoidable mistakes. Patience allows for the assessment of appropriate timing, ensuring that interventions are effective and impactful. Observing when to speak, act, or intervene reinforces credibility and strengthens influence, as people naturally follow those who demonstrate discernment and composure. Control emotional responses. Frustration, irritation, and anxiety often arise when progress is slow or outcomes are uncertain. Managing these emotions is essential for patience. Deep breathing, self-reflection, and mindfulness help maintain composure and prevent reactive behavior. Emotional stability fosters trust and respect, allowing influence to grow through calm guidance rather than force or pressure. Those who consistently practice patience create environments of reliability, stability, and constructive engagement. Set realistic expectations. Impatience often emerges when outcomes do not align with unrealistic timelines or assumptions. By establishing achievable goals and acknowledging the time required for progress, frustration is minimized and focus is maintained. Realistic expectations provide clarity, sustain motivation, and reinforce the value of consistent, patient effort. Long-term influence is built through steady action and credible results rather than hurried decisions or immediate gratification. Patience requires resilience. Challenges, obstacles, and setbacks are inevitable in any endeavor. Responding with composure, adaptability, and calm determination strengthens character and influence. Resilient patience demonstrates that you are capable of navigating complexity without succumbing to stress or conflict. People trust those who remain steady in the face of difficulty because their guidance is reliable and their actions measured. Patience intertwined with resilience builds respect, authority, and long-lasting relationships. Observe progress incrementally. Recognize small improvements and incremental victories rather than focusing solely on final outcomes. Celebrating progress reinforces patience, encourages sustained effort, and strengthens motivation. Incremental observation allows for adjustments, learning, and refinement without pressure or haste. Those who practice patience understand that meaningful results often require consistent, measured action over time. Develop self-discipline. Patience is reinforced by the ability to regulate impulses, control desires, and delay immediate gratification. Training yourself to respond with intentional thought rather than reaction strengthens personal authority and credibility. Self-discipline ensures that decisions, communication, and actions are aligned with purpose rather than emotion. The more disciplined your response is, the more influence you hold in guiding others and managing outcomes effectively. Practice empathy to support patience. Understanding the perspectives, limitations, and experiences of others reduces frustration and encourages tolerance. Recognizing that everyone operates at their own pace fosters calm interaction and collaborative engagement. Empathy enhances patience by shifting focus from self-centered urgency to shared understanding. Influence is amplified when communication respects the needs, timelines, and experiences of others, creating harmony and cooperation. Anticipate obstacles proactively. Patience is strengthened when challenges are expected, planned for, and approached strategically. Preparing for setbacks reduces emotional reaction and increases the ability to respond calmly. Anticipation allows for proactive management rather than reactive correction, ensuring that influence is grounded in foresight and competence. People respect those who remain steady in adversity and guide progress effectively. Use reflection to reinforce learning. After each situation, consider how patience was applied, what worked, and where improvement is needed. Reflection allows for growth, reinforces strategies, and strengthens habitual patience. Consistent self-evaluation ensures that patience is not occasional, but a consistent element of behavior. Those who practice reflective patience develop a reputation for wisdom, composure, and strategic judgment. Patience amplifies clarity. Rushed decisions or hasty communication often lead to errors, misunderstandings, or conflict. By slowing down, observing carefully, and thinking thoroughly, clarity emerges naturally. Thoughtful expression enhances persuasion, strengthens collaboration, and ensures that influence is based on reason rather than reaction. Patience cultivates precision in speech, action, and judgment, making guidance more effective and credible. Balance patience with action. Practicing patience does not mean inaction or avoidance. It requires recognizing the right moments to act while maintaining composure during waiting periods. Patience ensures that action is deliberate, informed, and impactful. People respond positively to those who combine timing, wisdom, and decisiveness, reinforcing both respect and influence. Strategic patience aligns behavior with objectives, optimizing outcomes while minimizing conflict. Patience builds credibility. Consistently calm and measured behavior signals competence, reliability, and trustworthiness. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who manage pressure with composure, valuing guidance that is deliberate rather than impulsive. Influence is strengthened when others perceive that your judgment is steady, informed, and resilient under challenging circumstances. The ability to wait, assess, and act strategically enhances authority and respect. Integrate patience into daily routines. Regular practice in small decisions, interactions, and challenges develops habitual calmness and discipline. Daily opportunities to observe, reflect, and respond intentionally reinforce the skill over time. Consistent application ensures that patience is not situational but embedded in character, making influence natural and sustainable. Those who practice patience consistently inspire trust and collaboration in every environment. Understand the long-term value of patience. Immediate outcomes may be tempting, but sustainable success is built on steady, deliberate effort. Patience allows relationships, projects, and goals to mature effectively. Influence grows when people see that results are reliable, decisions are thoughtful, and actions are guided by wisdom rather than urgency. Long-term impact is achieved by investing in patience as a foundational principle of behavior. By practicing patience consistently, personal and professional influence is strengthened. Decision-making becomes thoughtful, communication is clear, relationships deepen, and credibility is enhanced. Patience allows clarity to emerge, conflict to be minimized, and collaboration to flourish. Those who master patience understand that every action, word, and decision carries weight, and they use it deliberately to guide outcomes with authority, composure, and effectiveness. True influence is grounded in the ability to act with restraint, observe carefully, and respond strategically, demonstrating strength without haste and wisdom without compulsion. Chapter 13 Days Strengthen Presence by maintaining calm and confident posture. Presence is more than simply being in a room. It is the way your energy, demeanor, and posture communicate confidence and authority without a single word. People are naturally drawn to individuals who project calm assurance because it signals competence, reliability, and self-control. Maintaining a calm and confident posture is not about arrogance or dominance. It is about aligning your physical presence with inner composure and clarity, creating an aura of influence that makes others more receptive to your ideas and guidance. When your posture, movements, and body language convey confidence, people instinctively pay attention, listen more carefully, and trust your judgment. The foundation of presence begins with awareness of your body. How you hold yourself, how you move, and how you occupy space communicates volumes before you speak. Standing tall, with shoulders relaxed and head held naturally, signals control and assurance. Slouching, fidgeting, or appearing tense can undermine credibility, even if your words are well chosen. Awareness of posture ensures that your external presentation reflects your internal state, reinforcing authority and strengthening influence. Calmness is equally essential. Presence is weakened when anxiety, agitation, or tension dominate behavior. Developing the ability to remain composed under pressure communicates resilience and reliability. Calmness begins with breath control and mindful attention. Deep, measured breathing reduces physical tension, slows the heart rate, and centers the mind. A calm demeanor encourages others to remain steady as well, fostering trust and collaboration. Individuals who consistently demonstrate composure are naturally perceived as leaders, regardless of formal position. Confident posture requires alignment between mind and body. Internal doubt or hesitation will manifest physically through nervous gestures, shifting weight, or avoiding eye contact. Cultivating inner confidence allows posture to reflect certainty and self-assurance. Confidence is strengthened through preparation, mastery of skills, and self-awareness. The more competent and informed you feel internally, the more naturally your posture and presence communicate that certainty. People respond to consistency between inner conviction and outward behavior. Eye contact is a critical component of presence. Steady, thoughtful eye contact conveys attention, interest, and authority. Avoiding eye contact can be interpreted as insecurity, distraction, or disinterest. Maintaining appropriate eye contact during conversation demonstrates that you are fully engaged and confident, encouraging trust and respect. Eye contact, paired with calm posture, amplifies the perception of credibility and influence, reinforcing the impression that your words are meaningful and deliberate. Gestures and movement should be intentional. Every motion communicates information, often subconsciously. Controlled gestures that are purposeful reinforce points without distraction. Uncontrolled or excessive movements may convey nervousness or uncertainty, weakening presence. Moving deliberately, whether stepping forward to emphasize a point or using hands to illustrate ideas, ensures that physical expression enhances rather than detracts from communication. Presence is strengthened when actions are consistent, measured, and aligned with intent. Facial expressions shape perception. Neutral or relaxed expressions project confidence, while tension or excessive emotion can undermine authority. A slight, genuine smile can create approachability without weakening assertiveness. Consistent, calm expressions signal that you are grounded, attentive, and in control. Presence grows when facial cues reinforce verbal communication, creating coherence between what is said and what is conveyed non-verbally. Breathing and voice tone are closely tied to posture and presence. Shallow, rapid breathing increases tension and reduces vocal stability. Deep, controlled breaths allow for steady, calm speech. Tone that is measured, clear, and assertive communicates authority and ensures that words carry weight. Combining posture, calmness, and voice control establishes a commanding presence that attracts attention and encourages engagement. Influence is strengthened when people perceive confidence in both body and voice. Spatial awareness contributes to presence. How you occupy space reflects self-assurance. Standing or sitting upright, without shrinking or overextending, signals balance and readiness. Respect personal boundaries while confidently claiming your own space. Strategic movement within a room, such as approaching a group with measured steps or positioning yourself where visibility and accessibility are optimal, demonstrates awareness and control. Presence grows when physical positioning aligns with authority and respect for others. Active listening enhances presence. Engaged listening communicates attentiveness and respect, signaling that your presence matters beyond mere appearance. Nodding subtly, maintaining eye contact, and adjusting posture to convey interest reinforce influence. When others feel acknowledged and understood, their willingness to collaborate, trust, and follow increases. Presence is amplified when attention is focused on meaningful interaction rather than superficial display. Practice stillness strategically, pausing before speaking, holding a position without fidgeting, and allowing moments of silence convey confidence and composure. Stillness draws attention to your words, emphasizes significance, and signals control. People instinctively notice individuals who command presence through calm steadiness rather than constant motion. Patience combined with stillness enhances influence, creating anticipation and receptiveness before communication occurs. Adapt posture to context without losing composure. Presence is dynamic and responsive to environment, audience, and situation. In professional settings, an upright stance conveys authority. In collaborative discussions, a slightly relaxed posture communicates approachability while maintaining control. Adjusting body language based on context demonstrates emotional intelligence and situational awareness, ensuring that presence is both confident and effective. Influence grows when adaptability is combined with consistency in demeanor. Strengthen presence through preparation. Confidence and calmness are reinforced by knowledge, clarity of objectives, and mastery of content. Being prepared reduces hesitation, promotes steady posture, and enables natural engagement. The more informed and organized you are, the more your presence communicates certainty and credibility. People respond instinctively to individuals who exhibit preparation through controlled behavior and assured communication. Maintain consistent alignment between thought, word, and action. When internal intention, verbal communication, and physical presence are coherent, influence is maximized. Discrepancy between what is felt, said and expressed through posture creates doubt and weakens authority. Presence is established when consistency communicates reliability, competence, and trustworthiness. Individuals are drawn to those whose entire demeanor reinforces clarity and purpose. Mindful practice enhances posture and presence over time. Daily attention to stance, movement, and composure strengthens habit and embeds confidence into behavior. Mindfulness also improves awareness of how others respond to your presence, enabling refinement and adaptation. Continuous practice ensures that posture and demeanor are authentic rather than performative, reinforcing genuine influence and respect. Calm and confident presence inspires others. It sets a standard for behavior, encourages composure in group dynamics, and models resilience under pressure. Individuals who project steady authority influence outcomes, not through force, but through subtle guidance, credibility, and strategic engagement. Presence becomes a tool for leadership, collaboration, and sustained influence when maintained consistently with awareness and intentionality. Avoid overcompensation through exaggerated gestures or forced displays. Authentic presence comes from balance, poise, and natural alignment between internal confidence and external posture. Effortless calmness is more persuasive than overt attempts to appear authoritative. People trust and follow those whose presence feels genuine, steady, and deliberate. Influence is strongest when posture communicates authenticity rather than performance. Develop awareness of micro-expressions and subtle cues. Small adjustments in posture, gaze, and movement can reinforce or undermine communication. Recognizing and managing these signals ensures that presence supports influence at every level of interaction. Mastery of subtle physical language complements verbal communication, creating coherence, credibility, and receptiveness in others. Strengthening presence is a continuous process of refinement. Attention to posture, calmness, eye contact, gestures, voice, and spatial awareness creates a holistic expression of confidence. Consistent practice, mindfulness, and self-reflection ensure that presence becomes habitual, effective, and influential. Individuals who cultivate presence exude authority, inspire respect, and encourage engagement, achieving influence that extends beyond words. Presence is not merely physical, it is a reflection of inner composure, clarity, and confidence expressed outwardly. Calm, confident posture signals control, competence, and reliability, enhancing credibility and authority. Through awareness, preparation, and intentionality, presence becomes a tool for influence, collaboration, and leadership. People naturally respond to individuals who combine calm confidence and authenticity, making presence one of the most powerful forms of communication and influence available in both personal and professional life. Chapter 14. Recognize triggers to avoid reactive and destructive responses. Understanding and recognizing personal triggers is essential for maintaining control over reactions and preserving both influence and relationships. Triggers are often rooted in past experiences, habitual thought patterns, or deeply held beliefs, and they can provoke strong emotional responses that lead to regret, conflict, or lost opportunities. Awareness of these triggers allows you to respond deliberately rather than react impulsively. When you understand what provokes a defensive, angry, or anxious response, you gain the ability to manage your behavior and maintain composure, even under pressure. Recognizing triggers is the first step in converting potentially destructive energy into constructive action. The first step in identifying triggers is self-reflection. Take note of situations, comments, or behaviors that consistently provoke strong emotional reactions. Pay attention to physical sensations such as tension in the body, rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, or a tightening in the chest. Emotions often manifest in the body first, and recognizing these signals early provides an opportunity to intervene before reaction occurs. Awareness of these physical and emotional cues is critical for developing control over responses. Once triggers are identified, analyze their origins. Many triggers are linked to past experiences, unresolved conflicts, or deeply held values. Understanding why certain situations provoke strong responses provides clarity and reduces the power those triggers hold over behavior. This analysis allows you to separate present circumstances from past conditioning, enabling more rational and intentional responses. When triggers are understood, they become signals for reflection rather than catalysts for conflict. Practice observing triggers without judgment. Experiencing an emotional reaction does not make you weak or flawed. Treating triggers as information rather than threats allows for better management of responses. By acknowledging feelings without immediately acting on them, you create space to respond thoughtfully. Observation without judgment is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence and a key strategy for maintaining influence under pressure. Develop strategies for pausing in triggered moments. A deliberate pause allows time for breath, reflection, and assessment of the situation. Impulsive responses often escalate conflicts, damage relationships, and diminish credibility. A pause provides the opportunity to choose a measured, constructive response. Over time, practicing this pause becomes habitual, ensuring that triggers do not dictate behavior. Calmness in these moments signals maturity, self-control, and reliability. Cultivate mindful awareness to strengthen control over triggers. Mindfulness involves staying present, observing thoughts and emotions without attachment, and responding from a place of clarity. When a trigger arises, mindfulness enables recognition of the emotional surge without automatically acting on it. Regular mindfulness practice reduces the intensity of emotional reactions and increases the ability to respond with composure. Presence of mind transforms triggers from disruptive forces into opportunities for growth. Breathing exercises are a practical tool for managing reactive impulses. When confronted with a trigger, controlled, deep breaths slow the heart rate, reduce tension, and provide mental clarity. Breath control stabilizes emotional responses and facilitates deliberate action. Simple techniques, such as inhaling deeply for a count of 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 4, can interrupt automatic reactions and create space for intentional behavior. Reframe triggers as opportunities for insight. Emotional responses reveal personal values, unmet needs, and areas for self-improvement. Instead of viewing triggers as obstacles, consider them as information about your priorities and boundaries. Recognizing the lesson embedded in a reaction allows you to transform potential conflict into personal growth. Each triggered moment becomes a chance to strengthen self-awareness, patience, and emotional resilience. Develop alternative responses in advance. Anticipating situations where triggers might arise allows you to plan how to act constructively. Preparing phrases, mental strategies, or grounding techniques equips you to respond without being controlled by emotion. By rehearsing calm and measured responses, habitual reaction is replaced by deliberate action. Preparation reduces anxiety, reinforces composure, and ensures that influence is maintained in challenging circumstances. Maintain perspective during triggering events. Ask whether the situation will matter in a week, a month, or a year. This simple evaluation reduces the intensity of emotional reactions and prevents escalation. Situations often feel urgent in the moment, but are trivial in the larger context. Patience and perspective diminish the control triggers have over behavior and strengthen the ability to act strategically. Perspective reinforces clarity, rationality, and influence. Establish boundaries to prevent unnecessary triggers. Certain interactions or environments may repeatedly provoke emotional responses. By setting clear personal and professional boundaries, exposure to high-risk situations can be minimized. Boundaries are not avoidance, they are protection for mental clarity, composure, and influence. Clear limits ensure that energy is focused on constructive engagement rather than reactive conflict. Strengthen self-talk to reduce the impact of triggers. Internal dialogue often amplifies emotional responses. Replace automatic judgmental or fearful thoughts with calming, rational statements. Self-talk such as, "I can remain calm," or "I will respond thoughtfully," reinforces composure and encourages deliberate action. The mind follows repeated patterns of thought, and consistent reinforcement strengthens control over behavior in triggering moments. Observe patterns over time. Recognizing recurring triggers provides insight into personal development and areas for improvement. Journaling or reflecting on reactions allows identification of trends, habitual responses, and situations requiring heightened awareness. Continuous observation encourages mastery over triggers and enhances emotional intelligence. The ability to predict and manage triggers builds credibility, stability, and influence. Practice empathy toward others involved in triggering situations. Understanding the motivations, limitations, and pressures faced by others reduces emotional intensity and fosters constructive response. Recognizing that triggers may stem from misunderstanding rather than malice allows for measured, collaborative solutions. Empathy transforms challenging interactions into opportunities for connection and influence rather than confrontation. Implement grounding techniques in high-stress moments. Physical actions, such as pressing feet into the floor, focusing on sensory input, or using a subtle gesture, anchor attention and reduce emotional overwhelm. Grounding strengthens awareness of the present moment, allowing rational evaluation and measured response. These techniques reinforce self-control and ensure that triggers do not dictate behavior. Reflect after incidents where triggers were activated. Consider what caused the reaction, how it was managed, and how responses could be improved. Post-event analysis strengthens awareness and reinforces strategies for future situations. Reflection ensures that triggers are transformed into lessons rather than recurring sources of regret or conflict. Continuous evaluation cultivates resilience, composure, and influence. Combine patience with strategic action. Recognizing a trigger does not mean avoidance, it means responding thoughtfully. Balance calm observation with appropriate intervention, maintaining control while achieving objectives. Measured action prevents escalation and demonstrates authority. People respect those who manage emotion while remaining effective and decisive. Practice exposure in controlled settings. Gradually confronting minor triggers with awareness and composure strengthens tolerance and skill. This deliberate practice reduces sensitivity to strong emotional stimuli over time. By building resilience in manageable steps, confidence in handling future high-stakes situations grows. Mastery over triggers is developed incrementally through repetition, observation, and self-regulation. Reinforce the connection between values and responses. When a reaction aligns with core principles, it is constructive. When it conflicts with personal ethics or objectives, it becomes destructive. Awareness of this alignment ensures that behavior strengthens reputation, credibility, and influence. Acting in accordance with values, even under provocation, communicates integrity and authority. Recognizing triggers consistently allows influence to expand. Emotional regulation, deliberate action, and strategic communication create trust, respect, and cooperation. Those who master triggers avoid unnecessary conflict, respond effectively under pressure, and guide outcomes with authority. Presence, composure, and clarity are strengthened when emotional energy is managed intentionally. Each trigger becomes an opportunity to demonstrate restraint, intelligence, and leadership. By understanding, observing, and managing triggers, communication transforms from reactive to strategic. Words are chosen deliberately, actions are measured, and relationships are preserved. Influence grows naturally when responses are grounded in awareness rather than impulse. Recognizing triggers and acting intentionally creates environments of trust, collaboration, and respect. Mastery over triggers ensures that every interaction is an opportunity to reinforce credibility, maintain composure, and exercise influence effectively. Chapter 15. Build empathy to connect deeply with everyone around you. Empathy is a skill that transforms interactions and relationships, allowing influence and connection to deepen in meaningful ways. It is the ability to understand and feel what others are experiencing without judgment or distraction. Building empathy does not require agreement with someone's perspective, but it does require genuine attention and curiosity. Empathy strengthens communication because it shifts focus from self-centered thinking to understanding the needs, emotions, and intentions of others. People respond positively to those who listen, validate, and consider their feelings, and this response creates trust, cooperation, and lasting influence. The first step in building empathy is intentional listening. Fully focus on the person speaking without planning a response or interrupting. Observe both verbal and nonverbal cues, including tone, posture, and facial expression. Listening attentively demonstrates that their experience matters, fostering a sense of validation and respect. Through this focused attention, you gain insight into the emotions driving their words, allowing you to respond appropriately and meaningfully. Suspend judgment while engaging with others. Empathy is weakened when personal biases, assumptions, or criticism interfere with understanding. Practicing non-judgmental awareness allows you to experience the situation from another perspective, even when it challenges your own beliefs. Remaining open to differing viewpoints fosters deeper connection and encourages honest communication. Individuals feel heard and respected when their perspectives are received without immediate evaluation or dismissal. Develop emotional attunement by recognizing subtle cues. Body language, micro-expressions, and tone of voice reveal emotions that may not be explicitly stated. Observing these signals enhances your ability to understand feelings, anticipate needs, and respond with sensitivity. Emotional attunement also allows you to detect underlying concerns or stress, providing opportunities to offer support or adjust communication in ways that strengthen trust. Ask thoughtful questions that show interest in their experience. Open-ended questions encourage people to share deeper insights and feelings. Questions framed with genuine curiosity demonstrate that you care about understanding rather than simply gathering information. The act of asking and listening carefully communicates respect, attentiveness, and willingness to engage, creating an environment where influence grows naturally. Practice perspective, taking intentionally. Imagine the situation from the other person's point of view, considering their emotions, background, and motivations. This practice strengthens your capacity for empathy and helps avoid assumptions or misinterpretation. Perspective taking reduces conflict, improves communication, and encourages collaborative problem solving. Individuals respond to those who demonstrate understanding of their position and show consideration in decision making. Validate emotions without necessarily agreeing. Acknowledging feelings as real and significant allows others to feel understood. Statements like, "I can see why you would feel that way," or "that sounds challenging," provide recognition without needing to compromise your perspective. Validation builds emotional safety, encourages openness, and fosters connection, enhancing both personal and professional influence. Observe patterns of behavior and emotional responses. Understanding recurring tendencies in how others respond to situations provides insight into their values, priorities, and stressors. Recognizing patterns allows you to adjust communication and actions in ways that strengthen rapport. People appreciate when interactions are tailored to their style, needs, and preferences, which reinforces trust and deepens connection. Develop patience while cultivating empathy. Understanding another's experience may take time, especially when emotions are intense or perspectives differ significantly from your own. Patience ensures that reactions are thoughtful rather than rushed or dismissive. Remaining composed and attentive in challenging interactions strengthens influence because people feel genuinely heard and respected. Empathy flourishes when attention and time are given deliberately. Use reflective feedback to demonstrate understanding. Paraphrasing or summarizing what someone has shared confirms that you have accurately grasped their perspective. Simple statements such as, "It sounds like you're saying," or "I understand that this has been difficult for you," reinforce active listening and show that engagement is meaningful. Reflection provides clarity, reduces misunderstandings, and strengthens the emotional connection between individuals. Manage personal biases to maintain objectivity. Recognize when assumptions or past experiences are shaping your perception of others' experiences. By separating your interpretation from the reality of their emotions, you can respond more accurately and compassionately. Awareness of bias allows empathy to be genuine rather than filtered through personal judgment, creating trust and credibility. Observe the impact of your responses on others. Empathy is reinforced when reactions, tone, and body language contribute to positive engagement rather than escalation. Responding with calmness, support, and attentiveness encourages openness and strengthens relationships. People are naturally drawn to those whose presence is reassuring, understanding, and composed, enhancing influence in all interactions. Engage with diverse perspectives to expand empathy. Interacting with individuals from different backgrounds, experiences, and viewpoints broadens understanding of human emotions and motivations. Exposure to diversity challenges assumptions and deepens awareness, cultivating a more inclusive and flexible approach to communication. Empathy becomes a consistent tool for connection when practiced across varying contexts and relationships. Incorporate empathy into decision-making. Consider the effects of choices on others' emotions, needs, and experiences. Decisions made with empathy are more likely to be received positively, encourage cooperation, and minimize resistance. Thoughtful consideration of how actions impact people builds credibility and ensures that influence is exercised responsibly and effectively. Practice self-empathy to strengthen empathy toward others. Understanding and accepting your own emotions, limitations, and experiences provides a foundation for connecting with others. Self-empathy fosters emotional regulation, reduces defensive reactions, and encourages authentic engagement. Individuals who cultivate self-awareness are more capable of extending understanding, patience, and support to those around them. Observe subtle expressions of stress or discomfort. Recognizing when someone is struggling, even without explicit communication, allows timely support or adjustment in interaction. Addressing concerns before they escalate demonstrates attentiveness, care, and influence. Empathy is strengthened when observation is proactive and action is supportive rather than reactive. Use storytelling to connect and build empathy. Sharing relevant experiences, when appropriate, demonstrates understanding and relatability. Storytelling allows emotional connection, validates feelings, and fosters mutual understanding. Communication that incorporates thoughtful sharing strengthens the relational bond and reinforces credibility. People respond to those who can connect emotionally through shared experience while maintaining respect and composure. Reflect on past interactions to improve empathetic skills. Analyzing moments where understanding was successful or lacking provides insight for future behavior. Continuous learning strengthens the ability to anticipate needs, interpret cues accurately, and respond constructively. Habitual reflection ensures that empathy becomes a natural, integrated component of all communication. Apply empathy consistently across contexts, relationships in personal life, professional settings, and casual interactions all benefit from intentional understanding. Consistent empathy establishes reputation, builds influence, and ensures that connection is genuine rather than selective. Individuals trust those who demonstrate understanding universally, enhancing credibility, cooperation, and long-term rapport. Combine empathy with assertiveness. Understanding and validating emotions does not require compromising boundaries or goals. Empathy paired with clarity and firmness allows influence without conflict, ensuring that interactions are balanced and productive. Effective communication arises from both understanding others and maintaining clarity of intention. Empathy deepens influence by creating trust, collaboration, and emotional connection. People are more receptive, cooperative, and loyal when they feel genuinely understood. Developing empathy requires attention, patience, observation, and reflection, but the results are transformative. Through consistent practice, empathy becomes an instinctive skill that strengthens relationships, communication, and authority, allowing influence to expand naturally without force or coercion. Chapter 16 applies silence strategically to command attention naturally. Silence is one of the most powerful tools in communication, yet it is often underestimated. The ability to pause, hold still, and allow moments of quiet can create influence far greater than words alone. Strategic silence conveys confidence, control, and thoughtfulness. It forces both speaker and listener to consider the weight of the moment, making what is said afterward more impactful. Silence is not emptiness. It is an intentional space where attention sharpens and authority grows. Mastering silence requires discipline, awareness, and a clear understanding of timing. When applied correctly, it elevates presence, commands respect, and ensures that influence is earned rather than demanded. The first step in using silence effectively is understanding its psychological impact. People are naturally attentive during pauses because they instinctively anticipate what will come next. Silence creates tension in a way that encourages focus, prompting others to listen more carefully and value the words that follow. Rather than filling every moment with speech, allowing gaps communicates that your presence and opinion matter. Silence emphasizes meaning by giving words space to resonate, reinforcing authority without appearing aggressive or controlling. Silence begins with self-awareness, recognizing moments when speaking is necessary and when refraining is more powerful requires observation of both the situation and yourself. Emotional regulation is essential, as reacting impulsively fills silence with unnecessary words. Calm assessment during pauses strengthens influence by demonstrating composure and deliberate thought. When others see that you are unshaken by the flow of conversation, they naturally accord respect and attention. Pausing before responding is a simple but profound practice. Even a brief moment of quiet before answering a question or reacting to a comment signals careful consideration. It communicates intelligence, thoughtfulness, and control. These pauses allow your mind to organize ideas clearly and present them precisely, which enhances persuasiveness. Over time, deliberate pausing becomes habitual, reinforcing the perception of competence and authority in every interaction. Strategic silence can also be used to emphasize points. After making a key statement, allowing a pause gives listeners time to absorb and reflect. This creates impact without repetition or embellishment. Moments of quiet can underscore importance in a way that words alone cannot achieve. The weight of presence is amplified when speech is punctuated by thoughtful silence, and ideas are remembered because attention is focused rather than distracted. Silence is equally effective in group dynamics. In meetings or discussions, maintaining composure and pausing before contributing encourages others to consider your input more seriously. It positions you as a deliberate and reflective participant, increasing influence and credibility. People naturally defer to individuals who speak with intention rather than volume or speed, and moments of silence reinforce this perception. Practicing active listening during silence strengthens its effect. True attention requires refraining from speaking while fully absorbing what others communicate. Observing tone, body language, and emotional cues during these quiet moments provides deeper understanding and insight. This awareness allows responses to be more relevant, thoughtful, and persuasive. Influence is increased when contributions are informed, measured, and aligned with the needs of others. Silence can diffuse tension and prevent conflict. In heated situations, resisting the urge to react immediately allows emotional intensity to subside. Taking a quiet moment creates space for rational evaluation, reducing the risk of escalation or regrettable statements. Calm pauses signal maturity and control, encouraging others to respond in kind and fostering constructive dialogue. The ability to remain composed in challenging circumstances enhances both credibility and authority. Nonverbal communication during silence is also critical. Posture, gaze, and facial expression convey confidence even when words are absent. Maintaining an upright, relaxed stance, steady eye contact, and an attentive expression reinforces the authority conveyed by quiet moments. Silence combined with deliberate nonverbal cues ensures that presence and influence are unmistakable, making communication more powerful without additional speech. Silence fosters introspection and clarity of thought. Before speaking, allowing space to process information ensures that responses are deliberate and effective. This practice reduces filler words, over-explanation, and impulsive remarks. Communication becomes precise, persuasive, and impactful when silence is integrated into the decision-making and speaking process. Listeners perceive individuals who speak with clarity as intelligent and trustworthy. Applying silence strategically involves timing and context. Silence during negotiations, presentations, or discussions can compel attention and encourage thoughtful engagement. It should never feel forced or awkward, but natural and intentional. Practicing awareness of conversational rhythms helps identify opportunities where pauses can be most effective. Strategic silence becomes a tool to guide interactions, highlight key points, and foster respect. Silence encourages others to participate and share. By creating a pause after asking a question or presenting an idea, you give space for input. This demonstrates patience, value for contribution, and attentiveness. People are more likely to express themselves fully when they perceive that their voice is genuinely welcomed, which enhances collaboration, connection, and influence. Embracing silence also develops confidence in your own presence. When not compelled to fill gaps with words, you reinforce the perception that your presence alone carries weight. Self-assurance grows as you become comfortable with the natural rhythm of conversation and the power of measured speech. Others recognize authority in individuals who convey influence through presence rather than volume. Silence can highlight expertise subtly. When responding to questions or challenges, brief pauses before answering signal thoughtfulness and command. This communicates competence without the need for exaggeration or assertiveness. Authority is amplified when responses appear carefully considered, reflecting intelligence and reliability. The weight of quiet often outweighs rapid or constant speech, leaving a lasting impression on listeners. Developing comfort with silence requires practice. Begin by intentionally pausing during low-stakes conversations, gradually incorporating deliberate silence into more significant interactions. Observe the effects on attention, engagement, and respect. Awareness of timing, body language, and emotional cues ensures that silence reinforces influence rather than creating discomfort. Consistent practice strengthens skill, making strategic quiet a natural component of communication. Avoid fear of judgment during silent moments. Confidence is reinforced when silence is not perceived as weakness or hesitation, but as deliberate control. By remaining composed, you model patience and assurance, encouraging others to adjust their responses accordingly. People are drawn to those who are comfortable with stillness because it signals self-possession and reliability. Combine silence with verbal precision for maximum impact. Use words sparingly but meaningfully, allowing pauses to emphasize significance. When speech is deliberate and interspersed with quiet, listeners absorb information more fully, respond thoughtfully, and retain key points. Strategic integration of silence and speech enhances persuasion, authority, and influence in every context. Silence also encourages reflection for both speaker and listener. During pauses, internal processing allows reassessment of assumptions, emotions, and objectives. This reflection leads to more effective communication, better decisions, and stronger relationships. Influence grows when interactions are thoughtful, intentional, and considerate rather than rushed or reactionary. Ultimately, applying silence strategically transforms communication into a tool of authority and influence. Quiet moments are not voids, but opportunities to reinforce presence, command attention, and demonstrate composure. By combining awareness, timing, nonverbal control, and patience, silence elevates every interaction. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who speak with intention and allow space for reflection, resulting in deeper respect, trust, and influence. Chapter 770 prioritize clarity to ensure messages are always understood fully. Clarity is the foundation of effective communication, influence, and leadership. Without clarity, messages become confusing, misunderstood, or ignored, reducing the impact of even the most important ideas. Prioritizing clarity requires intentional effort, thoughtful word choice, and an awareness of how others perceive information. Clear communication ensures that intentions are understood, actions are aligned, and collaboration is strengthened. It is not about oversimplifying ideas, but about expressing them in a way that is precise, coherent, and accessible. When clarity is emphasized, influence grows naturally because others know exactly what is expected, valued, and communicated. The first step to achieving clarity is understanding your own message completely. Before speaking or writing, consider what you want to convey and why it matters. Organize thoughts logically and identify the core idea. Avoid cluttering communication with tangential points or unnecessary details. A message grounded in clear purpose is easier for others to grasp, respond to, and act upon. When intention is clear internally, it becomes easier to transmit externally. Simplifying language is critical to clarity. Use words that are direct and precise rather than complex or abstract. Avoid jargon, acronyms, or phrases that require interpretation unless you are certain the audience is familiar with them. Simpler language increases comprehension and reduces the chance of misinterpretation. When ideas are expressed in straightforward terms, they become accessible to everyone, creating trust and respect. Structure messages deliberately. Start with the main point before providing supporting information. Organize ideas logically so that each step follows naturally from the previous one. A well-structured message guides the listener or reader, making it easier to follow, retain, and respond appropriately. Structuring communication thoughtfully reduces confusion, ensures alignment, and reinforces the perception of competence and authority. Eliminate ambiguity wherever possible. Vague statements allow room for misinterpretation, conflict, or inaction. Be specific about expectations, instructions, and intentions. For example, instead of saying, "We should improve performance," state, "We will increase sales by 10% over the next quarter by focusing on key accounts." Precision removes uncertainty and establishes accountability. Clear communication avoids unnecessary questions and ensures that everyone is on the same page. Observe and adapt to the audience. Understanding the perspective, knowledge, and needs of others helps tailor messages for maximum clarity. Consider their level of expertise, familiarity with the topic, and preferred communication style. Adapting language, tone, and examples enhances comprehension and ensures that the message resonates. Effective communicators anticipate potential gaps in understanding and address them proactively. Practice active listening to maintain clarity. When receiving information, focus fully on understanding rather than preparing a response. Ask questions to clarify points that are confusing or incomplete. Repeat or summarize statements when necessary to confirm comprehension. Ensuring that both sender and receiver are aligned eliminates misunderstanding and fosters mutual respect. Communication is most effective when clarity is maintained in both directions. Use examples and illustrations strategically. Concrete examples, analogies, or simple demonstrations can clarify abstract or complex concepts. Visual or experiential references make information tangible, easier to understand, and memorable. Illustrations bridge gaps between idea and comprehension, ensuring that messages are processed accurately and fully. When communication is clear and supported by examples, influence is reinforced by understanding. Pause and reflect before responding. Even brief moments of silence allow time to organize thoughts and ensure that replies are precise. Responding impulsively increases the risk of unclear or incomplete statements. Taking time to structure words carefully demonstrates consideration and authority. Clarity emerges naturally when communication is deliberate rather than reactive. Confirm understanding regularly. Encourage feedback and questions to ensure the message is received as intended. Statements like, "Does this make sense?" or "Can you summarize what you understood?" allow for verification and correction. Confirming understanding prevents assumptions, reduces errors, and strengthens collaboration. Consistent verification reinforces reliability and ensures that influence is maintained through clear, shared understanding. Avoid overloading information. Too many ideas at once overwhelm attention and reduce comprehension. Break messages into digestible segments, focusing on one concept at a time. Clarity is enhanced when information is paced and structured, allowing listeners or readers to process and internalize each point. Simplifying the flow of information increases retention and encourages action. Mind tone and delivery for clarity. The way information is presented affects understanding. Speak or write with calm, steady articulation and emphasize key points. Avoid rushed speech, excessive filler words, or erratic phrasing that can obscure meaning. Tone and delivery reinforce the clarity of content, ensuring that the message is not only understood, but also received positively. Anticipate potential misinterpretations. Consider how statements could be misunderstood based on language, context, or pre-existing assumptions. Clarify and frame information proactively to reduce the risk of confusion. This foresight prevents unnecessary conflict, strengthens credibility, and reinforces authority. Clear communication anticipates the listener's perspective and aligns it with the intended message. Integrate repetition selectively. Emphasizing key points without redundancy ensures that essential messages are understood and remembered. Strategic repetition reinforces core ideas without causing frustration or disengagement. When important information is reinforced clearly and consistently, influence is strengthened because comprehension and recall are enhanced. Refine clarity through reflection. After conversations or presentations, evaluate how well the message was received. Identify areas where misunderstandings occurred and adjust future communication accordingly. Continuous refinement strengthens skill over time and enhances the ability to convey ideas effectively in any situation. Self-awareness and evaluation are crucial for consistent clarity and influence. Develop confidence in expressing ideas. Uncertainty often leads to unclear communication. When confidence is established, delivery becomes more assertive, precise, and persuasive. Confidence enhances clarity because messages are conveyed without hesitation, repetition, or ambiguity. People respond to those who express themselves clearly and authoritatively. Balance clarity with brevity. Excessive explanation can obscure meaning, while minimal communication can leave gaps. Prioritize essential information, express it accurately, and eliminate unnecessary detail. Concise communication ensures understanding, keeps attention focused, and strengthens influence without overcomplication. Recognize the role of nonverbal communication. Body language, facial expressions, and gestures contribute to clarity by reinforcing spoken messages. Intentional alignment of verbal and nonverbal cues ensures that communication is coherent, understandable, and credible. When actions match words, the message is more persuasive and trustworthy. Clarity fosters trust and collaboration. When people understand intentions, instructions, and perspectives, cooperation increases naturally. Misunderstanding breeds conflict, inefficiency, and frustration. Clear communication creates environments where influence is welcomed, ideas are respected, and objectives are achieved collaboratively. Consistent clarity strengthens relationships, credibility, and effectiveness. Prioritizing clarity is an ongoing practice. It requires observation, reflection, and adaptation in every interaction. Each opportunity to communicate is a chance to refine thought, improve delivery, and ensure comprehension. Mastery of clarity empowers influence because it ensures that messages are not only heard but fully understood, remembered, and acted upon. Chapter 18T. Limit words intentionally to increase value in conversations. Limiting words in conversations is a skill that dramatically increases influence and the perceived value of your speech. Speaking less forces you to focus on what truly matters, eliminating filler, repetition, and unnecessary details that dilute your message. When words are chosen carefully, every statement carries weight, meaning, and authority. People naturally listen more attentively when they know that your words are purposeful rather than habitual. Mastering the art of intentional speech requires awareness, discipline, and an understanding of timing, but the results are transformative in both personal and professional interactions. The first principle is awareness of verbal patterns. Observe how often you speak, how long sentences stretch, and how frequently words are repeated without adding meaning. Many people speak out of habit, fear of silence, or desire to fill space, which diminishes influence. By noticing these tendencies, you gain control over your speech and can choose to communicate with intention. Awareness is the foundation of limiting words because it reveals where economy of language is most needed. Prioritize ideas before speaking. Identify the core message you want to communicate and focus on expressing it clearly. Each word should serve a purpose to inform, persuade, clarify, or connect. Remove unnecessary qualifiers, tangents, or filler phrases that distract from the main point. This disciplined approach ensures that conversations are concise, impactful, and memorable. When your words are intentional, listeners perceive authority and expertise. Pause strategically to enhance the value of your words. Silence between statements gives space for processing and reflection. It ensures that what you say is absorbed and considered rather than lost in a flood of speech. Pauses also prevent over-explaining and encourage others to contribute, creating a more balanced and effective dialogue. The presence of silence demonstrates confidence and self-control, signaling that your speech is deliberate and meaningful. Use precise language to convey ideas efficiently. Avoid vague terms, long-winded explanations, and complex phrases that require interpretation. Words should be simple, specific, and concrete. Precise language removes ambiguity, increases understanding, and allows listeners to respond appropriately. When clarity is combined with brevity, the impact of your message is multiplied. People respect communicators who are clear, succinct, and intentional in their expression. Practice editing speech mentally before expressing it. Before speaking, consider whether every word adds value to the conversation. Ask yourself if your point can be conveyed with fewer words or more direct phrasing. This habit trains discipline and ensures that communication is meaningful rather than habitual. Over time, intentional speech becomes instinctive, and every interaction is more influential because words are chosen for maximum effect. Observe reactions to your words. Watch how listeners respond to speech that is concise versus speech that is long and unfocused. Attention, engagement, and retention increase when messages are clear and economical. Feedback from body language, facial expressions, and tone provides insight into how effectively you are communicating. Adjusting based on these cues strengthens influence and encourages more thoughtful participation from others. Limit stories, anecdotes, or explanations to what is necessary for understanding. While examples can clarify ideas, overuse diminishes focus and attention. Choose examples that directly reinforce your point and omit extraneous details. The value of speech is increased when every contribution matters and listeners recognize that your words are considered, relevant, and purposeful. Ask yourself whether speaking at all is required. Not every situation demands a verbal contribution. Strategic restraint ensures that your presence is felt even without constant speech. When you speak selectively, each statement gains weight because it is expected to be meaningful. Influence grows when people know that your words are measured and deliberate rather than automatic. Encourage others to speak by limiting your own words. Allowing space in conversation demonstrates confidence and respect, fostering collaboration and trust. People are more engaged when they have the opportunity to contribute, and influence is increased when your words complement rather than dominate the discussion. By listening attentively and speaking intentionally, you create an environment where communication is balanced and valuable. Replace repetition with emphasis through tone and structure. When a point is important, rely on delivery rather than repeating the same words multiple times. Modulate voice, adjust pacing, and pause effectively to reinforce meaning without excessive verbal reinforcement. This approach keeps communication efficient while ensuring that key messages are recognized and remembered. Focus on outcomes when speaking. Consider the purpose of each statement. Does it inform, inspire, or influence? Avoid speaking for the sake of talking or filling space. Each word should contribute to the desired result, whether that is understanding, agreement, or action. Intentional speech ensures that conversations are productive, meaningful, and aligned with objectives. Use questions strategically instead of extended explanations. Asking targeted, precise questions often achieves more than lengthy statements. Questions stimulate thinking, uncover information, and guide discussion while maintaining conciseness. Limiting words in favor of well-framed questions positions you as insightful, influential, and thoughtful, enhancing engagement and clarity. Observe cultural and situational expectations around speech. In some contexts, brevity is valued more than others. Tailoring the length and depth of communication to the setting enhances clarity and effectiveness. Being aware of these nuances allows words to be used intentionally, ensuring that impact is maximized without unnecessary elaboration. Reflect on habitual speech patterns. Identify phrases, fillers, or verbal crutches that add little value to conversation. Replace them with moments of silence or more concise alternatives. This self-awareness allows for gradual improvement, turning habitual verbosity into intentional, powerful communication. Consistency in limiting words strengthens perception of authority, control, and competence. Prioritize listening over speaking to enhance value. The less you speak unnecessarily, the more attention you can give to others, and the more information you can gather. Understanding others deeply allows your words to be targeted, relevant, and influential. Conversations become richer and more impactful when contributions are made with precision rather than volume. Use summaries instead of long explanations. When communicating complex information, Condense key points into concise summaries that capture essential meaning. Summaries reduce cognitive load for listeners, increase retention, and demonstrate mastery of the subject matter. The ability to distill information efficiently reinforces authority and strengthens influence. Maintain discipline even in casual conversation. The habit of speaking intentionally should extend beyond formal or professional settings. Practicing concise, meaningful speech in all interactions builds credibility, respect, and presence. Influence is reinforced when every word is chosen purposefully, regardless of context. Limit words to create anticipation and engagement. When speech is sparse but intentional, listeners pay more attention to each statement. The scarcity of words increases the perceived importance of what is said, naturally drawing focus and consideration. Thoughtful economy of language becomes a tool for influence because people value contributions that are measured and meaningful. Ultimately, limiting words intentionally transforms communication from noise into influence. Each statement becomes purposeful, every pause meaningful, and every interaction more effective. By choosing words carefully, pausing deliberately, and focusing on the impact of speech, influence is magnified. People listen more attentively, trust more deeply, and respond more thoughtfully when communication is deliberate, concise, and intentional. Chapter 19. They observe outcomes to refine communication and influence techniques. Observing outcomes is the key to mastering communication and increasing influence. Words alone do not determine impact. It is the response of others and the results of interactions that reveal the effectiveness of your speech and behavior. To refine communication skills, it is essential to pay close attention to reactions, engagement, and the actions that follow each conversation. Observing outcomes is not about judgment or self-criticism, but about honest assessment and continuous improvement. Every interaction provides information that, when analyzed carefully, can guide future behavior, making influence more deliberate, precise, and effective. The first step in observing outcomes is cultivating awareness. Be fully present during every conversation, noticing not only what is said, but also how it is received. Body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, and micro-reactions provide insight into whether your message landed as intended. Observing these cues helps identify whether ideas are understood, accepted, or ignored. This awareness forms the foundation for refining both speech and influence. Pay attention to immediate reactions. After making a statement or request, watch how others respond. Are they engaged, confused, or defensive? Quick assessments reveal whether communication is effective and whether adjustments are necessary. Immediate responses provide real-time feedback that allows you to fine-tune delivery, word choice, and tone for maximum clarity and impact. Observe patterns over time. One interaction provides information, but multiple interactions reveal trends. Identify consistent reactions to certain phrases, tones, or styles. Recognizing patterns enables predictive adjustments that improve communication before misunderstandings or misalignment occur. Repetition of outcomes provides reliable data for refining techniques and strengthening influence consistently. Seek external feedback intentionally. While observation provides valuable insight, asking for feedback directly ensures clarity about how communication is perceived. Constructive feedback from colleagues, friends, or mentors highlights blind spots, misunderstandings, and areas for improvement. Actively seeking input demonstrates humility, self-awareness, and commitment to growth, which further strengthens influence by modeling a willingness to improve. Analyze results rather than assigning blame. When observing outcomes, focus on understanding why a response occurred instead of judging yourself or others. Identify specific factors that contributed to clarity, confusion, agreement, or resistance. This objective approach allows learning to take place without defensiveness, enabling more effective adjustments in future interactions. Consider the context of communication. Outcomes are shaped not only by words but also by timing, environment, emotional climate, and audience. A message may be misunderstood because it was delivered at an inappropriate moment, to the wrong audience, or during a stressful situation. Evaluating context alongside content helps identify whether issues arose from delivery, interpretation, or circumstance, providing more accurate insight for refining techniques. Observe emotional responses carefully. Influence is closely tied to how others feel during and after communication. Positive emotional responses indicate alignment and trust, while negative reactions highlight areas that need adjustment. Attention to emotions reveals whether messages motivate, inspire, or create resistance. Refining communication based on emotional cues strengthens relationships and enhances persuasive impact. Evaluate engagement levels. In conversations, presentations, or negotiations, engagement is a clear indicator of influence. Are people attentive, asking questions, and participating? Are ideas being acted upon or ignored? Monitoring engagement shows whether communication achieves the desired effect and provides guidance for improving clarity, relevance, and resonance. Reflect on actions that follow communication. Influence is ultimately demonstrated by behavior. When instructions, requests, or suggestions are followed, communication is effective. When responses are incomplete, misaligned, or delayed, reflection is necessary to understand why. Observing these outcomes identifies gaps in clarity, persuasion, or delivery and informs future adjustments. Document insights for consistent improvement. Keeping a record of outcomes, reactions, and observations allows for structured analysis. Note what worked, what did not, and what patterns emerge. Over time, this documentation becomes a resource for developing more precise, intentional, and effective communication strategies. Reflection combined with observation creates a continuous feedback loop for growth. Experiment deliberately and observe results. Adjust word choice, tone, timing, or approach intentionally to test influence. Observe how each change affects engagement, understanding, and outcomes. Iterative experimentation helps identify what resonates most effectively with different individuals and in varying contexts. Deliberate adjustments reinforce flexibility and mastery in communication. Notice the balance between speaking and listening. The outcomes of conversations often reveal whether communication is balanced. Are you dominating dialogue or allowing others space to contribute? Observing outcomes in this area guides refinement, ensuring that influence is built on understanding and collaboration rather than assertion or volume alone. Assess clarity through comprehension checks. Confirm that messages are understood as intended by observing responses and asking for brief summaries when necessary. Misunderstandings signal where adjustments are required in wording, explanation, or emphasis. Repeated observation and verification prevent miscommunication and enhance both clarity and influence over time. Observe subtle social dynamics. Influence is not only about content but also about relational impact. Watch how your words affect group dynamics, hierarchy, and interactions between others. Understanding these subtleties allows for more sophisticated communication, where influence is maintained without conflict or misalignment. Strategic observation reveals social opportunities and risks that may not be apparent through words alone. Track long-term outcomes. Some results of communication may not be immediately visible. Assess the lasting impact on relationships, trust, reputation, and collaboration. Long-term observation highlights patterns in influence and helps refine approaches that build credibility, respect, and authority consistently over time. Learn from negative outcomes. Misunderstandings, resistance, or lack of engagement are opportunities for refinement rather than failures. Analyze why outcomes were less effective and adjust strategies accordingly. Observing negative results objectively strengthens resilience, deepens insight, and enhances the ability to influence with intentionality. Integrate observations into habit. Continuous refinement requires consistent attention to outcomes. Make observing reactions, engagement, and results a routine part of communication. Habits of observation ensure that influence grows steadily as insights are applied immediately to improve clarity, tone, timing, and approach. Use reflection to improve anticipation. Observing outcomes allows prediction of future responses. Anticipating potential misunderstandings or resistance enables preemptive clarification, question framing, or adjustment of tone. This proactive approach enhances influence because communication becomes more precise, considerate, and impactful. Observe the effects of nonverbal communication. Body language, posture, facial expression, and gestures contribute significantly to outcomes. Watch how these cues affect engagement, understanding, and responsiveness. Adjusting nonverbal signals based on observation ensures alignment between words and actions, strengthening credibility and influence. Measure impact consistently. Consider both qualitative and quantitative indicators of communication success. Engagement, comprehension, collaboration, action, and perception provide measurable outcomes that reflect the effectiveness of influence. Consistently evaluating these indicators informs adjustments that enhance impact in all interactions. Ultimately, observing outcomes transforms communication from a guessing game into a deliberate, data-driven practice. By watching reactions, monitoring engagement, analyzing results, and adjusting strategies, influence becomes intentional, precise, and sustainable. Observing outcomes is a discipline that requires patience, attention, and reflection, but mastery of this skill ensures that every interaction is more meaningful, persuasive, and effective. Chapter 20. Commit daily to self-control to transform speech into power. Self-control is the cornerstone of influence, authority, and meaningful communication. The ability to manage impulses, regulate emotions, and choose words deliberately transforms speech from ordinary noise into a powerful tool for impact. Without self-control, even the most insightful ideas can be diminished, misinterpreted, or lost entirely. Speaking with discipline requires consistent practice, awareness, and reflection, because influence is earned not only by what is said but also by how and when it is said. Daily commitment to self-control strengthens character, increases clarity, and ensures that every word contributes to purpose rather than distraction. The first step in cultivating self-control is awareness of impulses. Every conversation presents choices about what to say and how to say it. Impulsive reactions often lead to words that are defensive, reactive, or misaligned with intention. Recognizing the urge to respond immediately or emotionally provides the opportunity to pause, consider, and select words intentionally. Awareness is the foundation of self-control because it creates the space between impulse and action where conscious choice occurs. Practice restraint in speech consistently. Speaking less does not mean withholding important information. It means choosing statements that are purposeful and impactful. Avoid filling silence with unnecessary words. Silence allows ideas to settle and demonstrates confidence. When speech is controlled, listeners pay closer attention, and each contribution gains authority. Restraint also prevents regrets, misunderstandings, and conflicts that arise from unfiltered communication. Regulate emotions to maintain composure. Emotional reactivity can undermine influence and clarity. Strong feelings such as anger, frustration, or excitement may tempt immediate expression, but disciplined self-control ensures that speech remains measured, deliberate, and constructive. Emotional regulation involves observing feelings, acknowledging them without judgment, and delaying expression until thoughts are organized. Calm communication fosters respect and strengthens credibility, allowing words to carry power rather than chaos. Develop a daily routine to reinforce discipline. Habits of reflection, journaling, or meditation strengthen self-awareness and emotional regulation. Daily practice reinforces the ability to pause, evaluate, and respond rather than react. Over time, consistent reinforcement makes self-control instinctive, transforming speech into a deliberate tool of influence that is reliable in all situations. Monitor language for precision. Self-control involves choosing words that convey meaning without ambiguity or excess. Each phrase should serve a specific purpose, whether to inform, persuade, or inspire. Avoid filler, repetition, or vague statements that weaken impact. Precise, intentional language demonstrates authority, thoughtfulness, and command of ideas. Consistent practice in precision strengthens the connection between self-control and influence. Pause before responding. Moments of silence allow time to organize thoughts, assess the situation, and select the most effective words. Pausing is not hesitation, it is strategic reflection. A controlled pause signals confidence, encourages active listening, and emphasizes the importance of what will be said. Self-control transforms these pauses into moments of influence rather than gaps in communication. Observe personal triggers to prevent reactive speech. Situations, topics, or individuals can provoke automatic responses that compromise clarity and authority. Identifying these triggers allows preparation and intentional management. Awareness of patterns of reaction enables proactive strategies such as deep breathing, reframing thoughts, or delaying responses. Controlling reactions turns potentially destructive moments into opportunities for influence. Commit to speaking with purpose in every interaction. Each statement should have intention, whether it is to convey information, motivate action, or build connection. Avoid speaking out of habit, or social pressure. Purposeful speech ensures that every word contributes to influence rather than distraction. When communication is deliberate, listeners respect the thought behind each statement, increasing the weight and authority of speech. Align words with actions. Self-control extends beyond verbal restraint to consistency in behavior. Influence grows when speech matches actions, creating credibility and trust. Contradictions between words and behavior diminish authority and weaken impact. Committing to integrity ensures that speech is a reflection of disciplined thought and purposeful action. Practice selective disclosure. Not every thought or opinion needs to be expressed. Choosing what to share and when demonstrates discernment and influence. Oversharing often dilutes authority and reduces perceived value. Self-control in determining the relevance of speech increases attention, respect, and engagement from others. Each carefully chosen word becomes more powerful because it is expected and considered. Reinforce self-control through reflection. After interactions, review what was said, how it was received, and whether the outcome aligned with intention. Identify moments of success and areas for improvement. Reflection strengthens insight, reinforces disciplined habits, and provides feedback that guides future communication. Consistent evaluation creates continuous growth in both self-mastery and influence. Manage physical presence to support disciplined speech. Posture, eye contact, and gestures contribute to perception of control and authority. A calm, steady presence amplifies the effect of intentional speech. Self-control extends to how the body communicates alongside words, ensuring that overall influence is cohesive and compelling. Controlled presence enhances the clarity and authority of verbal expression. Apply self-control under pressure. Stressful situations are the greatest test of discipline. In high-stakes interactions, the temptation to react quickly or emotionally is strong. Maintaining composure, choosing words carefully, and responding strategically preserves credibility and influence. Self-control transforms pressure into opportunity, demonstrating leadership, patience, and mastery over impulses. Integrate listening into self-controlled communication. Influence is strengthened when others feel heard and understood. Practicing restraint allows space for others to express themselves fully. Active listening combined with measured responses enhances collaboration, deepens trust, and ensures that communication is effective and respected. Self-control in speech amplifies the power of listening. Avoid over-explaining. Providing excessive justification or elaboration reduces perceived authority and weakens influence. Trust that concise, intentional communication is sufficient. Limiting words while maintaining clarity demonstrates confidence, mastery, and respect for the listener's attention. Over time, disciplined brevity transforms speech into a precise instrument of power. Commit to patience consistently. Influence often requires delayed expression, especially when others are not ready to receive ideas or information. Patience allows timing to align with receptiveness, maximizing the effect of communication. Daily practice of patience strengthens self-control and ensures that speech is effective, strategic, and impactful. Reinforce habits through repetition. Daily commitment to conscious, disciplined speech ensures that self-control becomes automatic. Each interaction is an opportunity to refine word choice, tone, timing, and delivery. Repetition strengthens mastery, transforming speech into a reliable source of influence, persuasion, and clarity. Recognize the long-term benefits of self-control. Daily practice accumulates into consistent authority, credibility, and influence. Words that are measured, intentional, and reflective build a reputation of wisdom and reliability. Over time, disciplined speech increases opportunities, fosters collaboration, and strengthens leadership. Influence becomes a natural extension of mastery over self. Ultimately, committing to self-control daily transforms speech into power. Each pause, each choice of word, each act of restraint compounds into authority, trust, and clarity. Influence is no longer dependent on volume, emotion, or impulsiveness, but emerges from deliberate, disciplined communication. Self-control ensures that speech is precise, meaningful, and effective in every interaction, turning words into tools of lasting impact.